The paperclip in Loudon, New Hampshire. A Martinsville on steroids, 2 long straightaways, 2 flat, tight corners. Acts like a speedway, races like a short track, and it'll be a night of fun. Welcome everyone to the 100% Cup Series, the Division 1 campaign here for the CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301 here at the Magic Mile. It'll be myself, Corey Silva, and Andre Grandbush in the booth giving you the calls, and of course Carlos Costa down in the production truck pressing all the fancy buttons. So Andre, the Magic Mile, a track that has a history, at least in the service and in the league, of kind of being a calamity short track, but at the same time, it's a tough track that could also provide some solid green flag racing.
Yeah, it definitely has a reputation. I've kind of maybe lucked out, or maybe unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, been absent for a lot of the New Hampshire races in the league for one reason or another. I think the only time I did a New Hampshire race, commentary-wise, was back in season 1. So it's kind of a new experience for me. I'm excited to see what these guys have in store, but looking pretty overcasty at the track. Nice, cool temps. We'll see what that does for the racing product, but should be quite a bit of fun. It's definitely a different beast on the surface than it is in real life, so just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as we have the scenic drone type cam going right now, I think we just saw a billboard for NASCAR's 60th celebration. So kind of showing the age of this facility in the virtual world, but let's not get into that conversation here. 2 minutes left. Of course, qualifying already done in our warm-up now, as these guys do take their last few practice laps here. I do remember we covered this race on PTR TV last season, and we had about 20 cautions, Andre. So I know you've been out for a while, but definitely going. There's potential. I think last night in D2, we were right around the 13 to 14, and that was in a 200-lap race. We do have a slightly smaller than usual field here tonight, about 29 cars. I think we're working to get our feedback on here, so just bear with us. All right, so Carlos is just getting some odds and ends dialed up there in the back end, but about 29 cars. There we go. Got something back on screen for you, as opposed to about 37. So maybe that'll help once attrition hits. But Andrew Dyson, he was fast last night in D2 with a top 5 finish and top of the board thus far. The Aussie, who's good on the road course, is good on a short track that kind of has some road course tendencies with all the shifting.
Oh, for sure. I didn't even really think about shifting at this track. I'm still kind of in the old car mindset, but having 5 years, there's a whole lot of tracks that you never used to shift at that now all of a sudden these drivers are going to be trying to work the shifter, figure out where they can carry the most revs, carry the most speed, and they're going to have to be careful with the footwork on the braking and the downshifting. Don't want to get the car too unsettled, but yeah, definitely adds a road course element, so that might be one of the reasons that Dyson is so quick out here in practice.
Yeah, I just saw we had a driver cam here. I know who it's not this week, so I don't know if Carlos can give us a little insight as to who it is this week, but they were not there. But we'll focus on them during the race. But just a couple seconds left in the warm up. Somebody, who is it? Hi, who is it? I don't know names. I don't know faces as well.
Dustin Hall.
Dustin Hall. I guess we should have known by the number 1 on the background.
Oh yeah.
We also have a Cameron Stone.
We do have Cameron Stone, but I don't know if we have authorization to perform such.
We do. He can use driver cam unless he begins to utilize any illicit substances, at which point we cut the feed.
Illegal substances.
Illicit.
Illicit, okay, because illegal and illicit are completely different ball games here, but that is the changeover here. So we are getting these guys ready to head down onto the starting lineup. So we'll just wait a moment's time, get that all situated, get ourselves a starting lineup here for 301 laps. There it is. Go ahead and give you the starting lineup. Andrew Dyson on the front row with John Delaney, who was fast last night in P2. We got Matt Long in third. Cam Stone, our kind of verbally muted cam driver, in fourth. Clayton Hoffman in fifth. Neil Pearson in sixth. Matt DeCiani, Robert Miller seventh and eighth. Dustin Hall, one of our cam drivers, and Bobby Anderson in the Kellogg's ride in the 10th spot.
Outside of the top 10, Jason, nobody calls him Jedi, Spider-Man Taylor. Matt White is going to be P12. Trevor Ryan going to be 13th. 14th goes to Jeremy Miller. Adam Benefield is going to be rolling off 15th. He's next to Jamie Knopf in 16th. 17 and 18, Mark Paget and Raymond Root. 19th goes to Sean O'Brien Jr., the namesake of this race, CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301. Thank you, Sean O'Brien. And then 20th place, Tanner Marty.
I don't know if you're reading the same numbers I am, but I have Dalton Mobley in 20th, Tanner Marty in 19th, Kenny Powell in 21st, Nolan Hodgson in 22nd, Grassy in 23rd, Kyle Amoon in 24th spot. And then 25th, we have Derek Heitman, 26th, league admin Damaris Hickenbottom, and then rounding out the field, Ralph Hutchison. Haven't seen that name in Blue Moon there. Randy Drumhiller and Lucas Hoitzma, our Nashville Fuel Saver winner, shotgun on the field here tonight.
Hoitzma on a provisional for tonight. That's why he's a little bit further back than usual. Playoff picture, well, Lucas isn't quite so far back. In fact, he is leading the season on wins. He is sitting at 18 playoff points in the bank. Jonathan Delaney, P2. Clayton Hoffman in third. Patrick Gitter, Matt Long, RJ Root, Andrew Dyson, Robert Miller, Alex Murray, Adam Medefield, Dustin Hall, all locked into the show. We got drivers that are not locked in, but they are currently in the playoffs. Bobby Anderson, Matt DeCiani, Cam Stone, Sean O'Brien Jr., and Jim Schofield. Then you got the cut line, and it's pretty close. Neil Pearson is only 10 points back from Schofield, so we'll see if anything changes in the coming weeks. Jedi Taylor, 65 points out, 69 points out for Padgett. Then you got Heitman, Van de Sant, Tanner Marty, Nolan Hodgson, Randy Drumhiller, all a little bit further back. Rookie of the Year standings, still not a complete washout. I would say Clayton Hoffman is within striking distance. We got a lot of races left this year. He's only 125 points back from Patrick Gitter, who has pretty much had the lead of the Rookie of the Year standings since like race 3 or 4. Andrew Dyson moving up his way up the grid, third in the standings. And if he keeps getting these wins, well, they're not going to be too far off there. But the team standings, Apex still leading the way. I don't think they've given away that lead all year long. Dirty South is going to be P2. Team Conti moving back up to third. It's been a back and forth battle. Conti and Loudmouth going back and forth all year long for that final podium position. In the manufacturer standings, Chevy's still leading the way, but Ford creeping a little bit closer, and Toyota not creeping closer. They've not been creeping closer all year.
America.
But it looks like as we get done with all that, the pace car is going to pull off. The field is in the hands of Andrew Dyson, and that 0-4 machine is going to lead them down into turn 1. And it's going to be a sight to see. All these cars going into the corner at the same time, trying to navigate the shifting 2 by 2 all the way back. Jonathan Delaney is going to slip back into second place, single file for the top 2. A side-by-side battle for third, Cam Stone on the outside. And it looks like our leader's going to get out of the way. Clean turn 1.
Yeah, I'll tell you, last night the restarts were very spread out. Leaders were getting huge jumps there, but Delaney did a really good job keeping himself in due course.
Turn 3.
We do have our first wreck of the race. Got some cars there. Jedi, Jason Taylor involved, amongst a few others.
Yeah, I just happened to scroll back from my end right when that happened. Hoitzma involved. We'll take a look at the 100% Cup Series replay. And we got Jason Taylor. Keep your eye on that 41. He's underneath Bobby Anderson. Oh, just got a little bit loose. I don't know if that was a bad shift and it got the car unsettled. And then Wayne Grassy comes from downtown with a haymaker.
Grassy, one that had a really rough night last night as well. Not starting off here. Enters the corner. Maybe just a little wheel hop. I mean, not wheel hop. A little too late in the corner for wheel hop, but it must have been a downshift not matching the revs, the difference with the banking right on the transition, just a lot of things going on at once there. And I don't think any catastrophic impacts by anybody, so hopefully everyone can carry on just fine.
Wayne Grassy may have more damage than you think. That was a pretty good hit. We'll take another look at it on board, just barely squeezing through. We'll go on board now with Wayne Grassy, see his perspective, see how good of a hit this was. It looked like it was pretty good from the external cam, but maybe from Grassy's eyes, things may have been a little bit different. It's all happening in front of him. The 41,
okay, yeah,
not so bad.
I mean, it was bad, but the sim didn't interpret it as bad, so
If it was real life, it would be bad, but
sometimes pixels are your friend, sometimes they're your enemy. There's Lucas Hoitzma. I just talked about him being on the provisional, starting dead last, and I think he had a little bit to say in this. He kind of got himself spun out in reaction, but that may have been the best result because only a minor contact to the rear bumper there.
And good eye by Damaris there. He saw that happening and immediately went a lane higher. He knew what was going to happen there. He saw him just on the top of that replay there. But no casualties so far. I think everybody's going to be able to get back out on track. So we're just going to rack them, stack them, do it all over again. Tell you what, Corey, it's been a while since we have seen John Delaney do John Delaney things. He's been glamping a lot, so he's not even really been in the car that often. But when he is, seems like the John we've been seeing on track isn't the dominant force that he was last year. Do you think it's a little bit of a hangover from the last season, or maybe just trying to adjust to this car and all the physics changes?
I mean, it's probably a little bit of both. I know he is touted in the eSports world. I don't remember what team it was. I want to say Rise, but I could be wrong. I know he was just signed on by a big team, so very busy. So he does have to have the practice in, but this league every year gets more competitive and more competitive. Basically, almost pseudo Coke level this league is. So I think everybody's just catching up to him as more drivers start to learn the nuances of the car, but we'll see if he can have a good run and maybe chalk another W up. But a long way to go. Pace car is in. Dyson will get him racking, stacking one more time. Edger in the Geico restart zone. Barney will wave on the flag. There we go. And pretty modest jump there, but let's see if Stone can take a stab at Delaney entering one rather.
I think he can. Delaney got a little bit of wheel spin, which is surprising out of the driver of the number 6. And it immediately opened up that bottom lane for Stone to jump up in that Coors Light 57. And now he's going to be battling side by side for second place. Damaris said earlier in the Discord when he posted the betting odds that, Cam's good at braking style tracks. Well, there's a few braking style tracks on the circuit, but this does tend to be one of the better ones. There's just something about the footwork Cam is really good with, and this track plays into his wheelhouse. We'll have to see what he can do. In the meantime, John is able to fight back on the high side. He gets clear up into second. And all this is going on. Andrew Dyson just kind of glancing in his mirror, trying to figure out, what these guys are doing. And for third, the 97 is going to get a run on Cam Stone. That's going to put Cam in Delaney's shoes. Now he's got to fight on the high side, which appeared to work pretty well for the 6. Let's see if Cam can do the same.
Yeah, that was a very big strategy in last night's endeavor, is running that high side. You kind of want to run the bottom by yourself, but when you're kind of playing defense or making passes, you want to be up there on the outside. You want to get to the right rear quarter panel rather than the left rear, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of tire to make a pass down on the bottom. But that's where Delaney is right now, and he did this last night too. He ran all the way down on the apron and somehow got it to stick. Don't ask me how or why it works, but it just worked.
Yeah, he flew by Andrew Dyson. So this may be John Delaney doing John Delaney things. We'll have to wait and see. We got a driver in the infield care center. Jedi, nobody calls him Jedi, Jason S. Taylor. Let's see what he's got to say in his own words. Jason Taylor, you got a copy?
Hey, boys. How's it going?
Well, this is week number 2 that we've had to run down to the infield care center to get you. What happened there in turn 3?
On Creases, I have no idea. I entered the corner how I've been entering all week, and I guess the front locked up. So I tried to angle a little bit more down so I didn't murder everybody, and I guess I was very unsuccessful with that. And I tried to control the spin and stay predictable, and then I just ended up getting collected while I was trying to not get collected. So
yeah, it did kind of look like one of those weird physics moments where the car got a little loose when you wouldn't expect it to, and then a little bit of an overcorrection. But you did take a pretty good hit from Grassy. Is that day done? You're gonna get it back out there?
Yeah, I'm getting some ice cream right now. Boys are working on the car. I am so sorry to Wayne. He's been getting caught up by me, and honestly, right now, sorry is not enough. I need to do better, and this day was going to be so good for us, and now I just, yeah.
Well, an apology is one thing. Maybe you could give him some of that ice cream, which I guess I got to cap this off with the pressing question. What flavor ice cream?
I'm punishing myself with mint chocolate chip. It's disgusting.
What do you mean it's a punishment? Are you saying that's a punishment?
Somebody with common sense.
No, it is great. I will not have this. You can take your 2 legs and you can take your ice cream and you can go right back to your car, get back on track, salvage your race. But I will not hear this slander.
Copy 10-4.
All right, Jason. So that was 41 out of the booth. Just a little bit of an incident there. So none of you guys like mint chocolate chip. That is astounding to me. Second place has changed in the meantime. Cameron Stone able to work his way around Dyson now. I'm curious to see if this is Dyson learning the long run. Because the thing is, at the road courses, Corey, tire wear doesn't matter. You could be complete, all out, full bore every single lap, and your tires are not going to erode here on the iRacing service. But on the ovals, you can be good at a track. You can be really fast and know the braking zones and know where the line is that you want to run. But the tire wear is a lot more significant. So if you're more used to the road course side of things, that's a big learning curve. And the difference between wearing your tires out and being tenths of a second slower on the long run and not doing so could be, half a lane on the racetrack. It could be letting off just 30 feet earlier. It's very, very precise. And Andrew Dyson just dropping back on this long run. I gotta wonder if it comes down to that wear.
So this is where we don't like roasting the sim, but we do kind of have to. So I'm going to make a stereotype and say that he's experienced in the V8 supercar. Could be wrong, but I'm going to make the stereotype that he is. And that car does have tire wear, as do most of the GT3s, touring car, and pretty much all the tin top road cars. So they do have proper tire wear. So if he does have that experience, he should have that and translate some of it here. But yeah, where he has been having such good runs in the Cup car of note on the road courses with that kind of nuance in there, kind of has to untrain himself and go back to his training of pure road racing.
Now, if you look back to 5th place, that is Neil Pearson. He recently got signed to Dirty South alongside Bobby Anderson and Matt Long. So he is currently working with a team and getting some good setup. I know Matt Long, anytime you're involved with Matt, you're getting some good setups. And I think the chemistry between those two, the road course knowledge that Neil Pearson's bringing and the setup knowledge that Matt Long's bringing, I think that's a really smart choice. When I seen that signing, I thought, you know what, that's a good call. And it's showing. Matt Long, Pearson, Dyson, these boys are out here doing really well so far. A little bit further back, Dustin Hall, he's one of our driver cam drivers in that number 1. Dustin's always got a really good-looking car. I love the red, white, and blue number. And Kevin Steele, I believe, still does some of the paint work there. I believe. I could be wrong. But he's running pretty well. 7th place, he's right behind Robert Miller. Then you got another Rookie of the Year contender behind him, Clayton Hoffman in 8th. DeCiani, Anderson is going to be your top 10. So, it's an interesting running order, Corey. We're seeing some names that, we know they're good. It's not like these guys are running out back every race, but, some faces inside the top 10 early that maybe aren't always up there.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that Miller is not as high. He's, 6th is not bad. I'm expecting him to be a little bit higher. Neil Pearson, you expect him around 10th, but, they've been turning the wick up there. Akin to some teams in the real world, kind of outrunning their normality, which is, of course, a good thing. But like you said, some drivers that we're not used to seeing, let's just be bluntly honest, Cam Stone hasn't been a winning driver on pure speed. But look what we have here, Andre, going up front. He's right on the back bumper of Mr. Champion up there. So that 57, they brought a piece here tonight.
Braking style tracks, like we said, they're right up Cam's wheelhouse. So we'll have to see if he can close the deal. He's definitely gotten to the bumper. He showed that he can be as fast, if not a little bit quicker than John Delaney. The question is, how is he going to make this pass? Now, I don't really know a lot about New Hampshire. Most tracks that NASCAR goes to, I can tell you, oh yeah, it's one line, it's multi-groove. I can tell you where you want to be. New Hampshire is just a track that, for whatever reason, has always flown under my radar. I don't know much about it. But I feel like this is a track that you might know a little bit more about than I, Corey. What do you need to do to make a pass here? I mean, what line do you have to choose?
Yeah, this is my home track in terms of a cup race. It's 2 hours away, but it's all I got here up in the Massachusetts area. So this track it's just weird. There's really no other way to say it. You're faster on the inside, but if you want to make a pass, at least on iRacing, you want to get to the outside. You don't want to you can see there on the screen, the different colors of pavement there. You don't want to get into the dark pavement on the top. You kind of want to get right to the top lane of lighter pavement. It's about lane number 3. get to their right rear, pinch them down, and then eventually 3 or 4 laps later, you'll get the pass done. If you go on the bottom, the super bottom lane is flat. In 2002, they actually dug that up. That was the old apron, as Carlos is, yeah, that's where you want to be. Very accurate, Carlos. The bottom lane with the right X, that used to be the apron circa 2001. They decided that, well, this track is not good, so we're just going to pave that, make it the racetrack, and see if they use it. And, well, it didn't really work until they started putting PJ1 down here. But if you're John Delaney, apparently it does work. So the long and the short of it is get to their outside in lane 3 and pinch them down, but they're going to defend that pretty well, so you might just have to do a dive bomb.
So what you're saying is dive bomb, maybe use the bumper, or get lucky and carry a ton of speed.
All right, let's see. Let's see
Carrying
if dive bomb. If corner, then dive bomb.
Cameron Stone with the dive bomb, right on cue, as Corey said. And he's going to take it right to the lead. Goes the 57 Coors Light Machine. The silver bullet out front again.
And I do appreciate everybody being there for my TED Talk. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But yeah, that's just kind of the odds and ends here of New Hampshire, a track that there's actually parts of this track, as I'll end my history with this last tidbit. There are parts of this track that are still their 1990 pavement, which for a track from New England, I don't know how the pavement has lasted that long, but it's mainly because if you don't run it, it doesn't wear. So nobody runs it. So there's still actual pavement here from 1990, interestingly enough. But we'll see what Stone does, as we do have our weather stats on the screen here. 88-degree track temp, 2:52 virtual standard time. Pretty negligible wind here, but that cloud cover definitely adding a little bit of grip here. So let's see what we got going on here on the screen. I think that's Lucas Hoytsma that we have on screen in that 07 battling with our race sponsor in first caution, Sean O'Brien Jr. That's 17th and 18th, or 18th and 19th, rather, sorry.
There's been some good battles a little bit further back. Sean O'Brien Jr. was battling with Kenny Powell not long ago. Dalton Mobley and Nolan Hodgson were together for a while. And then Dalton was kind of battling with the 29. Been a little bit of side-by-side action further back. Right here is Matt DiCiani, currently running at 10th. And then behind him, you got the drivers just a little bit further back. Bobby Anderson, 02 machine, trying to sort that out. But right here goes the 07. Lucas Hoytsma tries to get to the bottom of the 24, but the 24 gets a good run on exit, shuts the door, says not today. But Jason
look at it! Look what he's doing! Look what Hoytsma's doing! He's trying. Like, it makes me look like I know what I'm talking about. He was trying to get to the right rear. Now he's trying to cross him over. He's trying to get a whisker there. Oh, that's a tire. That's a roll bar. Let's see what he does. He's going to dive it on in there, but SOB, he's going to hold tight in that third lane, but either doesn't have enough car or he's being patient and he lets him go.
So that was a good move. He diamonded to the corner and got the momentum. It worked really well. So, yeah, sometimes we know what we're talking about, Corey, specifically you. I generally don't, but, you do sometimes. Here's another battle on your screen right here. Teammates in DSR, the 47 and the 04. And look at that, Corey. He's got the right paint scheme on this time, so he's going to get points today.
Worth noting, I can't remember which configuration it was. I'm pretty sure Dyson actually wrecked Pearson last night in D2. So I don't expect that to come back, because that just wouldn't be team-like behavior. But Neil might have that in the back of his head. We didn't go over the stage details here this evening. We do have a replay queuing up here. So we'll discuss this replay, then I'll get into my stage details.
So this is right in front of Drumhiller. Oh.
Amoon got a loose, and Barney, he was close to the trigger angle of slidewaysness, but Barney said no, so we continue on.
Oh, we got a yellow flag on the circuit. Right out of the exit of 4, Jason Taylor again. I was just going to mention when that replay was getting queued up that he had rejoined the racetrack, but now that is going to be caution number 2. Hopefully he didn't spill his ice cream. Take a look at the 100% replay.
That was a good old self spin there, right in front of the leader of as well. He was driving down the hill there, and even though it's not a big transition, it's about 12 to 0, so it is big, but kind of not really. But it must have been just enough to upset that car into oblivion there.
Well, watch the revs here. He may have just given it too much beans as well.
Let's see, 5th gear. Let's see if he keeps it there. 54, 5,200.
Yeah, he just...
I'm shocked there was enough beans to give at that low of an RPM, but...
Yeah, I don't think it was the throttle. I think you're right. It was the banking transition that got him.
Pit stops. Last second, I didn't get to say it. Our stage 70 and 185. So this is roughly halfway in the stage. 7 sets of tires in the pits. I don't think we'll have real tire issues here, but we'll see what the situation is. Looks like kind of a split bag. About 15 or so have stayed out, and looks like as of 16th or so back, that's going to be our first pit stop. So those guys will have some work to do for some stage points in about 35 laps of racing.
Yeah, that they will. These drivers that stayed out are going to be on older tires, and it's not an insignificant difference. I mean, 32 laps on these tires compared to some of these drivers that just came down pit road, got tires, got some fuel. That's an interesting strategy call, kind of split things up very early, but some of these drivers weren't that far outside of the top 10 to begin with. Mark Paget was running in 11th before all this happened. Bobby Anderson was running 10th, and they gained a little bit, but not substantially. Sean O'Brien Jr. getting inside the top 10 with this strategy called. Jeremy Miller moving up. So this will be fun to see. I always like it when you got the old tires up front, the fresh tires a little bit further back. Really kind of shows what the patience level of the race currently is, because they could try to dart up through the field, or they could play it a little bit more tactical.
I'm going to do a little recon here. So Adam Benefiel, who has taken over our race lead, his last lap, well, basically his lap average right around the time of caution was about a 31.1, give or take. His best lap of the race was a 30.7, so roughly 3 to 4 tenths to fall off, which is a fair amount, Andre, but with the difficulty of this track with passing, you're not just going to plow through the field like Auto Club where you can just go 78 wide and pass everybody at once. You're going to have to pick them off maybe 1 a lap, 2 a lap if you're lucky. So it's going to be a feat to get that back for those pit stop guys.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not going to be super easy. We've seen some passing tonight, but it's not one of those tracks where you can just put your car anywhere and it's going to stick and you're just going to go around them. That's not going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Everybody's still trying to get gridded up.
It hasn't been the Sylvania 300 since like 2008.
Oh man, hell of a good. I remember back when they sponsored Watkins Glen. I didn't know they had anything to do with.
Like I said, let's see if we can get this billboard in turn 3. NASCAR's. It's just the perfect year to see that billboard because we're currently celebrating NASCAR's 75th anniversary and right in the entrance of turn 3, NASCAR's 60th. This is one of the oldest untouched oval scans in iRacing, and but Steve Myers said oval refreshes in the next year is a priority. So fingers crossed that some of these old ovals get touched up. Hashtag soon. But getting ready for a restart here. Pace car is in. Benefiel and Hall on the front row. Benefiel did choose the outside lane, and he's in a clear by about 3 car lengths entering turn 1.
So the Team Conti boy is going to be 1, 2, the 83 and the 1, and then it's going to be 2 wide for 4th. Bobby Anderson trying to battle with Paget there for position as everybody's fanning out. We got an incident on the back straightaway. Big incident.
Problems.
John missed it somehow, but he had to go down to the access road.
Jeremy Miller in the purple and white number 30 did a little back straightaway donut of sorts. And a replay will be queuing up for our watching pleasure here. Let's see. Oh, he got SOB'd. Potentially. I don't know what the instigation was, but he got SOB'd. And John Delaney with some road course endeavors there on the avoidance scale.
Yeah, what a piece of driving by John to get around that. But you can see that he just got checked up by the car in front a little bit. That unsettled the car, and man.
Oh, we got to get an onboard of John.
By. Yeah.
And I want to watch him do the chicane, too, so we can keep that little bit, Yep. By the way, this road course in a stock car is absolutely fun beyond belief. And he was running the apron in 1 and 2. Like, look, this is him at live race speed. That is not caution or slow down pace.
The way that he flicked it back to the right to keep it off the tire barrier before he was even
while
done
in the
avoiding
air,
wreck.
because he flew over the road course curbs there in the transition. So he was kind of mid-air while turning the car, and then performs the turn 3 and 4 chicane.
That was impressive. I don't know what other word there is
Sports
for that.
Center, I'd put that a 7 out of 10 on the Sports Center top 10.
I'm gonna give that a 9.
I'll put a well, I guess on the Sports Center top 10. Well, I guess we're giving it 10, so that means I guess it's number 1 on the Sports Center top 10. Maybe that'll actually iRacing has a top 10. I guess I'm shocked we don't have 100% top 10. I'm sure maybe that'll get added to Damaris's graphics list.
All I can tell you is that if the Speed Channel still existed,
It
Dave
does at
Despain
Charlotte.
well, yeah, that's true. But Dave Despain would definitely be talking about that on the wind tunnel.
Oh my God, good old times. A guy who was not afraid to speak his mind, but in 2023, you're not allowed to do that. Oh, there was that. Quickly saw that billboard for a second, but you can see on the front straightaway. Let's see if the pace car turns its lights off as we are doing some massive swerving. Interestingly enough, I saw this on the good old Twitter the other day. The Coca-Cola drivers are no longer allowed to swerve their tires under caution. Yeah, because I guess the newest quote-unquote tire hacks is swerving gets tire heat very fast, but they get worried about it looking weird on TV and potential wrecks. So I guess they allegedly banned tire swerving in Coke races. I could be wrong, and I'll probably get told that I'm wrong because there are Coke affiliations, but I saw it on Twitter, so that means it's true, right?
Nobody goes on the internet and lies.
Precisely. So, but I actually do really think that is a thing. And you know, whenever there's a new way to get grip, they're usually pretty good to shoot it down here. We're doing our drone cam of the outfield road course, which is an absolute blast. By the way, I took this road course out in the late models. Oh my God, time of my life here. One of the best rovals in iRacing because it does have the exterior part with some elevation change. So phenomenal track that is severely underused, as we do have One to Go, sponsored by whoever sponsors One to Go.
Yeah, we'll just call it the Our Publix Chicken Headers on Sale white flag of the caution.
The white flag of the caution.
Yes.
Wherever we can fit a
flag of the caution.
sponsor in. I'm actually shocked they haven't done that. Here's the Restart One to Go, sponsored by Billy Bob's Fried Chicken.
Hey, don't be hitting on Billy Bob's Fried Chicken. Pace car about to pull in, and it is again going to be Conti 1-2. Adam Benefield going to be on the outside. Dustin Hall down low. We'll have to wait and see. Wheel spin seems to have been an issue for a few drivers tonight. Every restart, I've seen at least one driver doing it, and I'm not sure why. Track doesn't seem particularly slick or hot, so it's interesting. But Adam Benefield with a good start as a green flag waves. Going to get him clear into the lead before they get to turn 1. Dustin Hall falling in line and rocketing to the outside. Bobby Anderson drove it in deep, trying to get alongside for third. Currently battling Clayton Hoffman, but Clayton gets a good run, and he's going to take that third position back. And we're side by side for 6th place actually, a little bit further back. RJ Root and the 84 machine of Jamie Knopf. These two actually pretty evenly paced through the corner. Nobody really gained, nobody lost.
Contact with Dalton Mobley off the corner there. They do carry on just fine. Now we're basically 3 wide. John Delaney is trying to grab them all at once, and they'll still be 3 wide in 1 and 2.
Oh boy.
Let's see if that works. Apparently the apron works now. I didn't know the grip updates worked like that, but they're still 3 wide on the backstretch.
Yeah, that 3 wide, top of your 3 wide TV multicam, pun not intended, is not going anywhere. These guys, Ralph Hutchison up top, Nolan Hodgson in the middle, Matt Long down low, pretty evenly paced. I think they're finally going to sort it out. They've got Andrew Dyson right behind them. Cam Stone and John Delaney, they kind of lucked out getting around that cluster of cars early on, whereas Dyson and Miller were not so fortunate. They're behind them trying to figure out, okay, how do we navigate this? And, well, really, there's no good way to navigate it. You just got to play it by ear. as the number 6 cracks the top 10 right behind Cameron Stone. So the fresh tires working their way up the grid, and we'll see how much more progress they can make. The stages. Whoa!
That is the 2004, 84. You can see the resolution. That's Jamie Knopf.
Jamie Knopf
is a round, and replay will uncover the cause of such. Stone right behind him.
Just a little bit of a self-spin there, right in front of the field.
I'll tell you, last night, Andre, that was the name of the game, is corner exits after about 10 laps. Almost half the cautions were on corner exit here, as you can just see. Went around by himself, and I did confirm with the blimp cam, completely by himself. And he was in 4th gear, as we Carlos noticed there on the back end, so easier to get some wheel spin when you are in the higher RPM band. And you can see where he goes, where he stops, wall.
It was just a ginger tap to the wall. I don't think that he's got too much damage from that. He should be all right. Everybody able to get around him on the high side as well. So, we've seen some incidents tonight. 4th caution of the night. We haven't got to stage 1, but not a lot of attrition. None of these hits have been terminal, and the cars aren't in tank mode. It's just that there's been really good awareness, I think, by everybody. The wreck avoidance has been good, and the speeds have been low enough that the cars are not completely...
Mr. Sun is coming out and joining us. So if we're worried about some wheel spin here, Mr. Sun is not going to make that situation any better.
Yeah,
Start 3. Oh, here it is. That's the billboard right there. And by the way, TD Bank North hasn't existed in 10 years. It is now just TD. That is a Mohegan Sun. That's a thing. But yeah, maybe you just want to cross off at 60 and make it a 75. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, but Coke Zero's still around, so at least we got that billboard.
Oh, and also when we get to turn 2, there's a kind of glitch with the wall art that's been there for 15 years. So when we get to turn 2, I'll point that out. This is the outfield road course. This is where you go downhill, and then you make the very abrupt and awkward turn over the curbs to get into the back straightaway again.
I like to think that I know a lot of tidbits about NASCAR tracks, but this just goes to show how under my radar this track is. I didn't know it had an outfield road course, but looking at it, it looks really cool. Like, I love the looks of this.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast. I recommend everybody give it a shot. Give it a shot in a Skippy, and then take it out in a tin top as time does present itself. But you'll definitely have a blast. I would never say run a cup car here. It's not that good. It's not a Charlotte Roval. I mean, it'd take a lot of work, but could be. Oh crap, we missed it. We'll have to catch it next time by. So basically, in turn 2, it says Chevy and American Revolution, but they meant to duplicate the ad, but it's skip right there. It just says Lucian. The rest of the ad got glitched out and it didn't populate, so it's just said Lucian there. And again, we're on 2008, so 15 years that has been a wall glitch, and it's still there.
When you go to a NASCAR race in real life, you learn pretty quickly that you can't trust the TV cameras because it could look really overcasty and rainy in the area. And then you look up at the Jumbotron and you see what the Fox broadcast is seeing or the NBC broadcast is seeing. And it looks like blue skies and sunny. It's like they got some sort of gamma filter on there that just kind of lightens it up.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the opposite here because on the broadcast, on Carlos's feed, it looks really dark. But in sim, for me, it looks almost night and day different. It looks a lot brighter for me in sim.
That's a big thing on races. Even here at Loudon, we saw it last year with Eric Almirola. I think it was last year, or was it 2 years ago? When they shortened the race, Christopher Bell was closing, and they cut the race 8 laps short. Everybody said it didn't look that dark. Well, I had friends here, and they took pictures, without fancy gamma and light boosting. It was pretty dark.
Yeah.
The magic of TV and even the magic of a iRacing broadcast sometimes makes a little bit deceptiveness here. But we're going to try this once more. We have 23 laps. There's some math for you. Till the stage. Our first driver on tires is in 7th, so everything we said about that probably wrong. But Benefiel is going to get him down from that outside lane. Right off the cuff, huge jump entering turn 1. What was Hall doing there on that restart?
Well, I'd have to imagine that, as their teammates, they were probably counting that down, trying to coordinate it. But oh my goodness, Cam Stone, John Delaney, speaking of getting good jumps, Jonathan Delaney to the bottom of Kenny Powell. He's going to try to take that position. And then simultaneously, right in front of him, Cam Stone making a move on Mark Paget. So these two continuing their trek on the somewhat fresher tires. But the thing is, Corey, that advantage of having the fresher tires, it is an advantage still, but the amount of an advantage is fading because we've had so many cautions. We put some laps down. These tires have been through a heat cycle. They're not going to be as fast as they were when they came out of the pits. They got to make the most of it while they can.
It was a 4/10 of a second gap that they had on the stopwatch, and that will deteriorate, as you said, every lap. And with aero push and things stringing out, that does cause a problem. But where Stone is in 6th right now, and now he has Delaney looking to his inside. So Delaney, that's going to be a big fight. Delaney does have to fall back in line. But now every move Cam Stone makes, he's on offense, but he also has to watch out for the defense because Delaney's going to try to figure something out as they go 3 wide with Dyson to the inside of Hutchison and couldn't quite make that other vehicle out. I think that is a 77 of Mobley.
Oh, a little bit of contact between Mobley and Hutchison. Robert Miller right behind Dyson out front. I tell you what, you're right. Ralph Hutchison has not been around much this year. He picked a whale of a race to come back for because he's been stuck 3 wide numerous times tonight. And he's done a good job keeping the car straight, and he's not really made too many slip-ups, but he's not had an easy time out there by any means. John Delaney making the move on the 45. So he's going to get around RJ Rudy, still trailing Cam Stone. And I'll tell you what, I think John probably could get aggressive. He could try to make the move around Cam. But I think it's in his best interest right now. Let Cam open these doors. Let Cam get up there, muscle by these guys. And while that door's open and he's slipping through, you just kind of, you jump the turnstile with him. You follow him right through. Then you're going to be 1-2, and you can sort it out once you're up front.
It's like being in heavy traffic on an interstate, and then an ambulance comes by and they force a lane. What do? You follow the ambulance. You just follow the wake right through and get all the work done for you. Kind of what he's doing right there. But now he's right to the back bumper once again at Cam Stone, and Stone has about a half second until he gets to Clayton Hoffman, which is going to be for 3rd, Hall in 2nd, and Benefiel out by a second and a quarter.
Dyson getting a little bit dicey back there. He's trying to make a move on Paget, and he will, but he had to force the issue there. The 0-2, I think, was caught a little bit off guard by the 0-4, popping up in his blind spot. He quickly shifted lanes. And now another pass. He's going to move to the bottom of the 45. This time a little bit more routine. I think RJ knew he was there, so he's able to slip down to the bottom. There he goes. Going to take the position right behind Bobby Anderson. And while that's happening, Cam Stone trying to take another position from Hoffman. He is scored as ahead going into the corner. We'll see if he can get clear. But I'll tell you what, Dyson is booking it on this short run. He's not to be overlooked here. And Bobby Anderson, definitely a bit of a steady Eddie tonight. He's been up in the top 5 all night long. Maybe not the fastest car on track, but anytime you're in the top 5 and you are consistently fast, that is where you want to be. Now I'm hearing something may have happened a little bit further back. I heard the driver radio. It's going to be Nolan Hodgson.
18 car there, very loose, doing some agricultural work. And carries on with no further issues. Now it's Trevor Ryan in the 18 car, that was.
Yeah, Trevor Ryan, I think he might have got a little bit of a tap from Nolan at one point. And then, well, is this live? Yeah, we're back live. So Nolan not done battling yet. He's got Jeremy Miller down to his low side. We got Damaris Higginbottom right behind him, kind of afraid to put him on camera. The commentator's curse is real with that 00. And now for another position, the 07 going to try to get around Dalton Mobley. And, to your point, Corey, you talked about how difficult passing is going to be, even if you got a faster car, even if you feel confident. It's been really difficult for Hoytsma to overcome that last place starting position, shotgun on the field. It's been 57 laps. He's not cracked the top 10. It has been a slow and aggravating climb for him up through the field.
Yeah, and aggravating, but to the number of 57, Stone did get by Dustin Hall, who has gone back to 4th, and now he's trying to claw into that 1.7 second deficit, of which Adam Benefiel has to enjoy right now. So pulling up the good old stopwatch. Last time by a 30.89 to a 30.7. So only roughly 2/10, being optimistic that Stone was faster. So I don't know if math's going to math here, if Stone's going to be able to catch him and get by lap 70.
No, I don't think he will at this rate. And again, the tires are pretty old. That caution that they pitted was lap 34, roughly. And we're on lap 58 now. So it's been over 20 laps. We've had a caution since then. So that's a heat cycle on the tires. Actually, I think we've had 2 cautions since then. So heat cycles on the tires, advantage fading. And you can see the difference in strategy. Benefiel has just... he's just been on the same set of tires. Then Stone, Delaney, Dyson, 27-lap-old tires, which is where the plateau really starts to set in. Hall, Anderson, Root. Now, here's the interesting thing. They're still ahead of a few of the drivers that did pit and take tires. Miller and Long are on fresher tires, but they've not got around those guys. So definitely a good call for those 3 drivers, regardless of what happens. And for Benefiel, leading the race on those older tires, they made a risky strategy work out.
Yep. Loud in the track well, this year it's kind of an anomaly. We'll wait to see what happens. But even in the real world, I've heard examples of the left sides here, as we have our multicam on screen right now, that the left sides, the stickers don't even wear off here for a long time. It's just this track just doesn't wear tires. Of course, now they're going to be running a more aggressive tire compound this week, so we'll see how that reacts in real life, although they might be running a wet compound based on the forecast I've been seeing. Bottom of your screen, you see that is Lucas Hoytsma, I believe, and it's Bobby Anderson and Dustin Hall, rather. Top of your screen, we have RJ Root on our 3-wide/100 TV multicam, whatever branding we want to use these days, as there's 9 laps to go in the stage, and our gap up front 1.2 seconds.
You know, I'm partial to the 3WTV 100% PTR TV multicam. We'll just have to spit that out every single time.
Morph some abomination of an acronym there, because syllables are not my best friend, especially when the battery of my body is that there of less than 10%. RJ Root, he must have had some kind of endeavor, because he was rather slow there. He did get dropped back to the 12th spot. I'll do a little recon there.
I appreciate Carlos going ahead and just updating the graphic, filling that in. We have our leader still leading by about 1 second. So Stone and Delaney just ever so slowly railing him in, but it's too slow. It's not enough time. There's 7.5 laps left in this stint. He's still got a second lead. Even if they were to get to him, which I find highly doubtful, it's still going to be a matter of passing him. But further back, we're still battling for points. We've got Robert Miller. We got Bobby Anderson. We've got Matt Long. These boys going at it for position. They are not pulling any punches here. They're trying to get every point they can. Robert Miller especially, being pretty much on call for the Air Force 24/7. Never knows when he's going to get to race. Never knows when he's going to be able to get points. So if he can rack up as many points as he can when he does get to be behind the wheel, that's what he's going to try to do, and that adds to his aggression level, I think. You can see him looking for speed, Corey. He's going to the high side, trying to get to that right rear, like you had said. And he got him close, but I don't think it's enough yet.
Yeah, and remember, he is still probably getting his anger management out after Nashville. Remember, he had the perfect race at Nashville up until about lap, about 175, 200, something like that. He blew the race by overshooting his pit stall when he had a very strong possibility of pulling the old Jeff Burton, leading every single lap, which, of course, this was the last place that has ever happened in September of 2000, when they thought restrictor plates here was a good idea for some inexplicable reason. But yeah, he does continue there, gets by the 5 car, puts himself in 6, and now we may have a ball game up front. The gap is now within 0.6 of a second, so it's still a difficult endeavor, but now slightly more plausible here, as it looks like the 5 will drop back once more as the 97 of Matt Long takes a stab at it, with potentially Neil Pearson to follow.
I think that inexplicable reason's name was Adam Petty, but either way, maybe not the best idea. It definitely did not put on a great race. They did not do the restrictor plates again, and there's a reason for that. But still, my favorite fun fact, that I've mentioned this on broadcasts in the past, but because Jeff Burton led every lap. Oh, we got a caution. My fun fact that I've told before, we'll have to wait as we have a yellow flag.
Clayton Hoffman. There may have been some help. I'm looking at it. Looks like a replay. Yeah, there was some help and there was some internet involved. A little bit of both here, as you can see Lucas Hoytsma to his inside.
Ooh, yeah, just a little bit of net code, but also I think that contact may have been inevitable. Hoytsma drove it in a little deep, and then Nolan locking up the brakes on corner exit. That was kind of strange.
So if a wreck was going to happen anyways, but net code was the situation that caused it, I guess we'll call that real code.
Close
a little
enough.
bit of real code there. It was probably going to happen, but net code was the actual cause of it. But a little light tap into the barrier there. I don't know what the solution is for that.
Is Nolan reacting to that about 10 seconds too late? Slams the brakes on corner exit for some reason. I couldn't tell you why.
Our YouTube chat, just here for the stone choke, says Brandon Pierce. So interesting confidence levels
Brandon,
there.
Where are you tonight? Why aren't you in a car? Come on, buddy.
Pit stops will happen right here. This will encompass the stage. So congratulations to Adam Benefiel on that playoff point that he has successfully endured there. Let's see everybody come into the pits. And it'll be interesting to see if that extra set of tires that they now possess has any relevance later in the race. But as we saw, I don't think it will be.
I think Brandon, he's so into MX bikes now that he doesn't, he's too good for 100%. You know, he's into the dirt bikes now. But we are going to have a word with our stage winner. Let's pull in Adam Benefiel. Mr. Benefiel, you got a copy?
Hey!
Well, Adam, some darn good strategy there. Got you out front, and nobody had anything for you. How's the car feeling?
Terrible, man. We got a lot of work to do. Try to even have a chance to finish top 5 here. But, I don't know. A long way to go. Hopefully a lot of these heavy hitters will wreck out, and it'll give us a shot to finish on the podium.
All right. Hold on. The car is horrible, but you're out here leading laps. How good is that car going to be when it's good?
I mean, you trying to get me in trouble for cussing again?
Well, maybe. Well, no, I don't want to lose the opportunity to interview. We already lost Cam, so.
You lost the 2 personalities.
Yeah.
You're trying to. No, the cars is pretty good. I mean, I feel like we can make it a little bit better, and you know, but it's not where I want it to be. At least I'll put it that way. I feel like Cam's brought a really good piece. Delaney, and then Dyson. You know, he's sitting back there, just waiting, and I can go all the way through freaking P8. I mean, everybody's strong.
Yeah, they are. Now, one advantage you do have, though, because you didn't pit back on lap 34, you got an extra set behind the wall that a lot of the drivers behind you don't. And it has been a pretty caution-filled race. Do you think that's going to be a benefit later on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really don't know because I just went 50 laps and won a stage. So does the tires really matter? I don't really know.
That is a fair point. But all right, Adam, Led's going to be going off soon, so we'll put you back with your team. Good luck with stage 2.
Thank you.
So Mr. Benefiel out of the booth. Lights are off, so we're going to be going racing just momentarily. But man,
Fatheads. Who's Fatheads? Oh yeah, those are those huge posters. Aren't they?
Yeah.
There's the Lucian.
They were like the vinyl decal. Is there a Fatheads billboard here?
No, that was just someone. That was on someone's helmet. Whoever we were just watching.
I wonder if they still exist. I remember seeing the infomercials for them.
Yeah, they had like almost like 1/3 size diecast cars. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's a tire. There it is. Flatheads with a Z. That's how you know it's cool. But lights out on the pace car. Adam Benefiel will be the leader, and he will choose the inside this time. Interestingly enough, Cam Stone on the outside. We'll see what kind of jump he can get. See if he can get that lead with that speed that he has. Well, he didn't get the jump at all. And Delaney is going to fight for second, and he's going to clear for second.
So now Cam's got a little bit of work to do. He passed John once, but he probably doesn't want to have to do it again. And he's got a hard-charging Dustin Hall right behind him as well, trying to make something happen. But Andrew Dyson going to throw his hat into the ring. Let's see if he can strap down that earth harness and make this pass. He is going to get around. No, Dustin Hall saving the position on the outside, getting a good run here so far.
Now, so far, the only person that we have seen that, oh, I take that back. Somebody's on the flat there. That's Matt Diciani. I was going to say the only
Oh,
person who's run that apron line was John Delaney, but Matt Diciani, I think he unintentionally took a stab at it there, but he does regroup back into the 11th position behind RJ Root.
And when Matt went down to that flat, you could see it just in the corner of the frame. He shot back up about 3 lanes high. Oh no, Dustin Hall.
Oh, that's
Robert
a big
Miller.
one. Pearson.
Pearson
It's like
goes
yeah,
Bobby
they're
Anderson.
parked. Waffle House. They're stacked, smothered, and covered there on the front straightaway. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, that was not a good ordeal. Definitely living up to the reputation New Hampshire seems to have here on iRacing. We'll take a look at the replay, see exactly what kicked off. This was pretty close to the front that I think it started.
Goal.
A little bit of a wiggle out of Dustin Hall. He gets into Pearson, gets into Miller, and then from there it's just congestion. Nobody can get through. I'm not exactly sure who tagged Bobby Anderson, but he got spun around there. Mark Padgett, SOB, up against the outside wall.
So I think what we need to do is we need to put some like Coke syrup, PJ1, something there on the edges of these corners because grip is just non-existent here. Some slow-mo there. There is the big wiggle. It's, a little bit too many beans, maybe some air. Pearson there, good right front impact. Well, not a good right front impact. And then here, everybody is sideways, and this is not a wide front straightaway, so it is kind of debilitating when this happens.
Poor Bobby, man. He's been caught up in a couple of other people's incidents so far tonight. Tell you what, though, everybody just pitted. The stage did just end, so I don't think strategy is going to really come into play with this caution.
This is a big one.
At the end of this replay, we're going to throw it to a quick break, and we'll be back for the drop of the green. And the lights are out on the pace car. We're rolling into turn 3, so just seconds away from getting back underway after the 6th caution, the 5th for cause so far at the CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301. It's going to be John Delaney, Cam Stone out front. That's a story we've seen before. Andrew Dyson also getting in the mix up here with Matt Long. So some very fast cars. Benefield made the comment, pretty much everybody in the top 10 is fast. He's not wrong. Green flag waves the outside, gets a good start. John Delaney, no wheel spin this time. Meanwhile, Cam Stone's going to have to fight for second place. They're going to have to wrestle for it. He is going to get around Matt Long and slide up in front of him. So he's going to take P2. We'll see if Matt Long can get back around. But a little bit further back, there's Lucas Hoitzma. He was involved in one of the incidents there a moment ago. He's finally inside the top 10. DeCiani also back up in 6th. So we're seeing the running order start to settle back out after that strategy really mixed it up a little bit. But a clean first lap for the restart, taking lap 80, single file all the way through.
Yep, and again, we'll go to 185 as denoted on the ticker. And did talk to, of course, Jeffrey Souza with our D1 broadcast last night. He is a team owner of the team that I don't quite remember, but I'm sure you know. But he did tell me right around 90 laps is a fuel run, of course, a little bit longer with caution. So probably, no, we will need to have a pit stop at some point in this stage, whether under green or under caution. The drivers will be the answer to that question. But my main question is, who is actually faster, do you think, at this point, Andre, with all the information we have? Is it Stone? Is it Delaney? Or is it someone who's stuck in traffic trying to work their way back up? It's really hard to tell. They may be even, as Benefield said.
Yeah, it is really tough to tell. Everybody has been so competitive. There's been times where I feel like Delaney might be a little bit quicker. There's times where Cam shows a little bit more speed. Matt Long has also impressed me so far tonight. He's definitely shown he's got a car that could get up there and lead laps. It's just a matter of making the overtake, being in the right place at the right time. So I can't really make a pick, but a little bit further back in the field, we're not single file. We got Randy Drumhiller, the Drumhammer himself. He's too wide, a little bit further back. And Mark Padgett trying to make a move on the 76 Derek Heitman. And there's SOB. He's watching a too wide battle. Going to be Dalton Mobley right next to Trevor Ryan in the 18. I almost said Rob Tracy. That is not the correct car. Trevor Ryan with a side draft here at Loudon. Corey, how often do you see that?
Never. But it's worth a shot. We go about to 140, 150. It might work for about 1/10 of a millisecond, but you never know. As right to the back bumper of the car in front of it. Well, here comes DeCiani to the inside of RJ Root. That is a battle for the 5th position. They actually have grip here off the exit of the corners here on these relatively fresh tires. As you can see there, by lack there of wiggling, but it looks like that 45 has that upper groove going. 4 will dig through the center, but this is where you need that track that it is taking. DeCiani has to pinch the wheel down, can't get the run, and that's where the outside is able to sustain. And here comes Lucas Hoitzman to throw his hat in the ring.
Yeah, Lucas is glad that these guys are battling now because it's letting him catch up. But by the time he gets to the rear bumper, he's going to say, okay, guys, you can quit battling. This too wide's getting old, because as long as they stay side by side, you can't really pass. We've seen 3 wide, but nobody really comes out on top. It's just that somebody has to give in that situation, and that's not what any of these drivers want. So right now, Lucas just kind of trapped behind these guys. DeCiani been pretty good so far.
He could do the Delaney yeet on the apron, but that is
I don't have faith in that.
You don't have faith in him to do it, or the move in general?
The move in general, but we've also seen Lucas get in a few scuffles already tonight, so maybe just try to keep it clean for a while. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the team owner. I'm just in general, keep the car clean.
So I'm also, because Delaney is, to my knowledge, is a younger individual, and it is a very aggressive move. I guess we can just deem that move the Delaney yeet, and I guess all dive bombs going forth maybe considered as such naming rights there. So add that to the Boomer trying to be hip crowd there. But looks like we got on the screen, still have Hoitzma trying to take a stab at it. Oh, now we have Long closing in on Stone. So we were talking about who's faster. Maybe is it Stone? Is it Delaney? Well, I think Matt Long wants to be in that conversation as well.
Yeah, I mentioned just a little bit ago that he's been really impressive so far. That 97 has shown a ton of speed. There's been laps where he's faster than the leaders. It's just a matter of getting in the clean air and trying to get around him. But yeah, you're correct, Corey. We got the 100% OnlyFans foot cam.
Need some
bottom
sunglasses
right.
right now. My goodness, get in the sun, man.
Well, I mean, he's a teacher. He's not getting in the sun too often. He's also not getting on the broadcast very often. So.
Well, he's at least, every guy has, well, I guess every person in this new world has their track that suits them, that gets them that airtime. And for Cam Stone, it's here for good reason anyways. Sometimes you get on the broadcast the entire stream for bad reasons, but at this juncture, at nearly 1/3 distance, it's all positive thoughts for that 57 and the streak of what probably is pushing 700 days. This may be the best genuine chance at this juncture he has to take a stab at ending that.
Well, I'll tell you, there's not a position in the field that Cam would want to finish in less than second place. Cam has had a lot of close calls of getting back in victory lane since his last victory over 700 days ago. One in particular that stands out in my mind was Circuit of the Americas last year. He was far and away the fastest 100% Cup Series regular, but that just happened to be one of the races that we had Nick Ottinger in the field, and he, in his own words, said, well, the only guy that beat me was the guy whose job it is to play this game. And he was pretty frustrated about that.
So he was the Shane Van Gisbergen, you're saying?
Exactly. And then he had another second place finish somewhere else. And I think he gets more frustrated with second than he does anywhere else. He could, caution, seventh on the night, and it's Damaris.
And I'm going to take a stab. Well, before we go to the replay, I'm going to guess. He got loose on corner exit on throttle.
That would be a good guess.
I didn't look at the replay yet. I'm going to go and watch it live as you guys do at home. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Couldn't be tell. What? Where?
Okay.
I couldn't be tell there. May need an onboard of the driver behind.
Yeah,
this game works well.
I think he might have got a little help. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. He got help. No. He got help, and then about 2 seconds later, he got loose.
Yeah, but I think he might have started getting loose.
All right, let's try from this perspective.
A little bit of a bump there, a little bit loose, and then all
that angle, it didn't look like he hit him. So
he definitely tapped him. It wasn't really Wayne's fault. Nowhere to really go in that situation when a car starts getting loose. But
Damaris did do the dive bomb and slid up, and that's why he was kind of slow in the center, because he did do the little dive bomb of sorts, which is one of the only ways to pass here. So there's nothing wrong with that. But
I was getting a piece of that too on the left front. But we'll see how much damage Damaris has. Hopefully those packages were in the bubble mailers, and they're not crinkled up or damaged. But USPS going for a ride there.
Or you bought package insurance, which is now a thing.
Is that really?
I mean, yeah, they ask you what the value is of your item. So, I mean, could you buy something from the dollar store and then just lie and say it was worth $500 and then claim it was damaged and get $500?
I mean, probably once. And then you would get a knock on the door from a guy in a suit, and then nobody would hear from you for a while.
Asterisk runs aggressively to dollar store and then to the post office on Monday morning. But anyways, where we stand right now, so we have seen some pit stops. Hoytsma, Benefiel, Miller, Hutchison, amongst a few others there. They have pitted and are now situated in the 17th position on back. Everybody else 24 laps on their tires. Now let's do some math to 185, Andre. I think with whispers in the tank that the guys who pitted could probably run to the end here on fuel. Everybody else still will need a pit stop, but let's just be real. Is this thing going to go to 185 green?
Probably not. Well, hey, the lights are still on the pace car. I'm going to hand you John Delaney, Corey. Let's see what our leader's currently thinking under this yellow.
Hey, John, Corey, Andre, up at the booth. You got us, bud?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so Loudon, obviously a tough track to pass, but you're doing what you usually do up front, but you got some company. Stone has a piece today, Matt Long, and of course you got some different strategies, Benefiel and company back there on old set of tires. So how you feeling tonight? And you think that 6 could end up in victory circle?
I think so. Like you said, Cam is pretty quick. He's known for short tracks. He knows how to drive a car around a short track here. So, and you got Matt Long and Andrew Dyson too. They're pretty quick this week as well. It's been nice to come to a track where, it's you're not dependent on draft to have the pack bunch up. So it's been nice to kind of more rely on the driver itself and the setup than draft. So we'll see how it goes. I feel like we have a pretty good piece for at least a top 3 car. But we'll see how it goes here. I would like a long run here, but never know.
All right, John, thanks for
Straight
your
away,
time.
want to go,
You'll be
man?
going greens. We're going to put you with your team.
Gotcha. Thank you, guys.
Hey, that was my interview. I was going to say that.
Yeah, but with John, he's so long-winded, I legitimately thought he might just keep going until the green flag dropped, and I didn't want to be the reason he wrecks.
And I did have another question I wanted to ask him, so...
Well, that would have been the green flag then, because you know his answers.
All right, but either way, he is back in focus mode, and he's on that outside. Let's see if Cam can stay with him here on the restart. Answer to that question is no. Green flag in the air, and he'll get that jump. He did it all last night. Delaney was getting 3 car length jumps, and he's still doing it here tonight.
Yeah, it was a great jump out of the number 6, and we might be able to talk to him again here shortly and get that last question in. But again, I kind of figured he would go till the maybe to the next stage. Who knows? It's John Delaney. The 57 second place right now. Andrew Dyson jumps up to 3rd, so he gets around Matt Long on that initial start, puts him back on the podium. He was the pole sitter. Remember, he's not led a lap tonight, but he was the pole sitter, so definitely some speed behind the wheel of that 04 machine. We'll see if he can maybe climb back to that top spot that he started in. And John Delaney, half a second. This is probably the biggest lead that we've seen anybody really drive out to that wasn't based upon strategy, at least early on. I mean, John was 0.2 quicker last lap.
Yes, he was. Now, is that a matter of speed? Is that a matter of clean air? Is that a matter of tire conservation? All of the questions that are applicable here. But interesting to see Dyson, as you said, getting up there. He didn't lead a lap from his pole position, and he eagerly wants to change that. Can he manage to get by that 57? I don't know, but that 97 I think is going to get by him before that happens. And then look at that gap back to Matt DeCiani there, roughly a second. So as they still are pretty double filed up as we kind of look at the rest of the field.
Now, there's a good battle that actually just kind of dissipated a little bit further back. Dustin Hall made a move on Jamie Knopf, and now he's working on Dalton Mobley. But ahead of them, there's another battle I'm seeing. Ralph Hutchison trying to get around the number 3, and they're going to make contact. They door each other through 1 and 2. So Wayne Grassy with a little bit of a nudge to the 8. Again, we talked about how Hutchison has not had an easy time tonight. He's been in the thick of it for pretty much the entire way, and he's not getting out of it yet.
To the thick of it. Sorry, TikTok trends from the past, but look at Benefiel at the top there of Wayne Grassy here. Benefiel on the freshest of tires. Actually, Hoytsma on the freshest of tires. Well, he's the highest of them, I should say. So Benefiel is trying to stay within contact of that 07 on their trek back up to the front. 1/3 distance, 100 miles of our race has now been completed, and just kind of going back through the field. Neil Pearson a little bit further up. He is making a pass there on Kenny Powell for that 10th spot. Good run for Kenny Powell, one driver that we've started to see in D2. Already got his green light for D1, and having a good showing here in the big show.
To address chat momentarily, and it kind of makes sense. We're up to lap 101 now, so we're past 100 laps. Polar Mania, he's in chat every week. Good to see you, buddy. He said, hated to miss the first 90 laps. Any bumps and dumps yet? Well, we've had a few bumps, none of which were really that intentional, but so far, no true attrition. Nobody's been damaged so bad from any incident that they've had to put behind the wall. But we are up to, well, yeah, but I think that was more of a choice. It wasn't damage related. The rundown of it is that we've had 8 cautions, I believe, on the night, one of which was a stage caution. Adam Metafield was your stage 1 winner on strategy. He's got an extra set, as do a few other drivers, because he stayed out in stage 1, whereas everybody else pitted. So strategy has been at play so far tonight. And stage 2, the story of this race has been John Delaney. He's got out front early, and he's not looked back. Cam Stone's done everything he can to run him down. Has not got there yet. Dyson and Long have been battling as well on pace with the leader. And DeCiani, well, he's raced his way up inside the top 5, and that's the driver that Corey was mentioning just a moment ago.
This one of only 2 drivers last time by who ran a lap in the 30.7 bracket. Only other driver to do that, our race leader. So that 4 car definitely showing some pace here. Now, the question I wanted to ask Delaney that I did not get to is the sky here at Loudon. Of course, it was cloudy. The sun came out. Now we're back to clouds. So I'm actually really wondering how much difference that is for these drivers. Does the car handle better in the sun? Is it looser? Is it tighter? Is it appreciable from the driver's seat, or is it purely aesthetic here? Because definitely it's the weather here is kind of causing some issues there with the track temp.
Yeah, definitely gonna affect the cars depending on how you built the setup. I think that's a consistent question mark for all of the teams in 100% Cup Series is they never know what the weather's going to be. The league uses generated weather, and sometimes it's a lot warmer, sometimes it's a lot cooler, sometimes it's overcast, sometimes it's not, and there's no way to know what it's going to be ahead of time. So you kind of just have to look at the trends. I know a lot of these teams will load into session after session after session with the in-race, like in-sim time and day that the sim is going to use, and they tend to just try to use the most frequent weather that is generated, and they will build the setup for that. But sometimes the league session will throw you a curveball, and you're going to get conditions that you never saw in any of your testing. So now you've got a setup that is built for a completely different track condition. And it's possible because remember, Cam Stone was fast when the sun was shining. And ever since the clouds came back, John has had a lot of pace. So he may have a car that's built up for the sun.
Yeah. And well, I'd have to imagine in this new day and age where we do have, there's a bunch of teams and they all kind of are based around about 3 or 4 main setup shops and group setups that get divvied up and such. I'd have to imagine that there is a quote unquote Loudon sunny set, Loudon hot set, Loudon cloudy set. And if it's not, it might be a good idea to start kind of just, if you're really looking to be competitive, just kind of build for all the occasions. And if it does happen, you got something to work with. So of course I don't build setups. I don't know how long that would take. So whether that's a good idea or not, I have no idea.
Well, and the problem with that is you can build a setup for every track condition, but you can only take one to the track with you, and you don't know which one's going to be right. You could take the cloudy setup and then find out, oh nope, there's not a cloud within 100 miles of Loudon today, which I'm sure is probably not very realistic for real life this time of year. But either way, you could take your setup with you and just make the wrong call. It kind of comes down to hoping that you got it right. And with a track like this, it's so much more important. The track temp is so much more vital here than a lot of other places because you're on the brake so much. The car is so handling reliant, and that's what the racing really is. It's not so much about, putting yourself in the right place and running the right lines and everything. It's about the handling of the car, and if you don't got a good setup, you're going to be struggling. And we've seen that. I mean, there's some good drivers a little bit further back that they just haven't had the pace. Look at Lucas Hoitzman. He was up inside the top 5 on strategy, but now he's all the way back in 16th. You have Kyle Ammon a little bit further back. He was involved in one of those incidents. But Bobby Anderson on the strategy fell through the running order. He can't get back up through the field. He's struggling to get back up. So the pace is just kind of all over the place right now.
Yeah, well, and Loudon, too, is one of those tracks that you could give a good driver, you can give an average driver a great setup at like a Charlotte, and they'll be able to run very well with it because it's by nature an easier track. You can give a great driver an average setup at Charlotte, and they'll make good time with it. But you could give a average driver a great setup here, and they will not be able to do great things with it. And the same thing, you can give a really good driver an average setup. Like Loudon is one of those tracks that it really takes the driver to maximize the equipment versus, maybe a 1.5 where, an average guy can, make something happen as well.
That is absolutely the case, and it's one of the things that makes this track so interesting. Another comment in chat said, do you think the number 6 is wondering if the 57 will bump and dump him if he gets right on his right rear?
If it comes down for the win, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he's wondering, because in his mind, it's probably a surefire thing that if we're on lap 301 out of 301 and they're coming out of turn 4 and Cam gets a run, he will give him the bump. But in the meantime, Cam's not in a position to do so because Andrew Dyson has got around him for second place.
Yes, he has. Dyson starting to make his presence known here. Again, all the tires in the top 5 are equal. Neil Pearson in 6th. First driver on modestly fresh tires. His tires are 36 laps old. Freshest overall tires are Adam Benefiel in the 10th spot. So we do have 3 sets of tire strategies all going on here as Cam Stone's starting to fight the wheel there. You can kind of see a little bit more oscillation there as he kind of fought that car, especially on corner exit here on these old tires. Smooth on the entry right there, doing the head lean. Let's see how his exit is.
Well, with a lean like that, it's got to be a good exit. That's the rule. The further you lean, the better it's going to be.
A little bit of wobble there, but nothing catastrophic. You have a corner entry there, smooth entry, smooth center. Wobble, but not too bad.
And that is kind of the reoccurring theme here. Everybody's getting a little bit loose at various points through the lap. Nobody's really comfortable with their car, I'd say. Top of your 3-wide TV, 100% PTR TV multicam is a battle with the 07 and Robert Miller as well, trying to get around the 44 machine. Is that the 77? I can't quite make out the pixels. I believe that is Dalton Mobley that they just worked their way around it. 2 wide momentarily, and ahead of him you got the 92. And they're going to get single file finally, but that was a good battle for a moment. Now, Robert actually getting a little bit aggressive with his teammate there. You could see he was looking down low, trying to see if he could maybe make something happen. He's going to try it again into the corner.
He is trying to go to the inside. Miller, again, talked about it earlier. He had the perfect race at Nashville, a track that has sort of similar tendencies here, being a braking track, having to modulate. Big wiggle there off the exit of the corner as he gets by. But that 15 just, you talked about his real world, obligations with him being in the Army, which we do respect his service, but maybe just having a couple weeks off while he's been busy. You come back into a tough track, you got to shake the rust off, and might make the beginning half of this race a little bit harder for him.
And this is not an easy track to just jump into. If you've been in and out of the sim and you're a little bit rusty, I feel like you could go to a Las Vegas, you could go to an auto club, and as long as you're familiar with iRacing, you don't need to be as well practiced at a track like that. But this track is so technical. Everybody's basically calling it a short track. I mean, John Delaney, how many times did he call this a short track? It's not. It's an intermediate, but it races like a short track. And those are going to be the toughest types of races, just to jump behind the wheel and say, okay, well, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, and then this track, it's a short track that also has road course tendencies. And where do we go next week? We go to, I think, Pocono, ? Which, if that's the case, is a track that is a quote-unquote super speedway by definition, that races also like a short track, that also races like a road course, where you're shifting probably more like 10, 15 times a lap with the next-gen car now. So you might see some guys with similar skill sets have some success next week. I would expect Dyson to do really well there with the shifting and RPM matching and all that fun stuff, as we do have Clayton Hoffman battling SOB there. Race sponsor car, so hopefully there's no more issues and jinxes with that.
I feel like more often than not, having the race sponsor on your car is a jinx, especially in real life. I can't tell you how many races I've seen the sponsor car get into trouble. So we'll see if SOB can subvert that trope.
We have a poll by Polar Mania, a poll request. Is bumping and dumping Is it to be considered like rubbing is racing, or should it be banned 100%? And no pun intended. My take is the Jeff Gordon, and well, some people might be too young for this, the Jeff Gordon bump and runs that he did on Rusty Walls at Bristol. That is racing. What Matt Kenseth did to Joey Logano, that's just a crock of beef. So if that's how you win the race, is just full send, yeet, I don't care, that shouldn't be. But a bump and run, 8 wheels is better than 4. That's what we need to see.
So the before I state my opinion, I will say the league does have rules concerning this, and the short version of it is that there is an at-fault system. If you wreck other people and you are determined to be at fault, and especially if it was determined to be intentional, which is generally either through admission over the radio or through some sort of telemetry, you will be sat out. There is absolutely no question about that. However, if you want my personal take, look, rubbin's racing. Stock cars are a contact sport. I think it's completely fair. A little bit loose, the 92, and that's going to send the 24 up into the 07, so a little bit of a checkup. Everybody keeps going. As I was saying, I think giving somebody a bump and moving them out of the way, getting rough with somebody, is perfectly fine. That being said, if that person wants to come back and ruin your day, then you can't complain about it. And going back to your example, the Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano had ruined several of Kenseth's races up to that point, even took him out of points contention. And so when Matt Kenseth said, I'm going to come back from 5 laps down and just wreck your car, Joey Logano, I don't think had a right to complain about that. He kept poking the bear, and then the bear bit him. So
then from a
give and take.
From a disciplinary spectrum, if the initiation is a classic racing bump and run and the retaliation is a wreck, the person who wrecked the other driver can't say, well, he started it, because your punishment didn't fit the crime from a league in a sanction perspective. That's where it kind of gets a little bit dirty, which why most people just say just don't make contact.
Yeah, I mean, it's give and take, and that's the way I've always seen it. I have no problem moving somebody, but when somebody wants to move me back, I can't.
Move me back. Don't dump me back. Move me back.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing too is that sometimes you go to move somebody, and it turns into a dump, and you didn't mean for it. So if they come back and dump you, I mean.
But if you're the one but if you try to do a bump and run and it turns into a wreck, that is on you. You tried to do something that is basic, but it didn't work that way. So
if they come back.
So TLDR, it's a very complicated spectrum, which is why they usually don't like dealing anything at all with it. We are at that point now, lap 127, so we're about 50 laps to the stage. The interesting points, we do have the top 5 that are 58 laps into their run, so my estimation, per what we've learned, is they might have 30 laps left in the tank, maybe 40 with cautions, but that's not going to get them to 185. So may have some interesting doings here with 10-15 drivers that are not going to make the stage on fuel.
And a big question, of course, is when they do come down pit road, because it's going to be so close to this stage, do they just take tires and fuel and then stay out under the stage caution for that track position? Because if you took a splash and go and then you have to come back to pit road again,
42 almost took out SOB there.
That was a close moment there for Kenny Powell.
But we continue on, but some new britches probably required there by both of those drivers. But back to your point, Andre. So the telemetry says the pit lane delta stop, cone to cone included stop, roughly 38 seconds. Probably a little bit longer than that with the running on the apron. So let's say 40 seconds you lose making a pit stop here, you will lose a lap. So if you pit and everybody else doesn't have to, your stage is just going to be a wave around to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, so maybe just take that splash and go at that point, because you're not really gaining much if that's the time cone to cone, which is interesting. It's an interesting call for sure. And the way the cautions fell have put these drivers in kind of a lose-lose situation with that being the case. Also, I want to point out, Kevin in chat said, when you get bored, here's a fun fact. Cam's car has a hint of blue in it this year. Of course it does. The mountains turn blue. It's Coors Light. Cam's car has a hint of blue in it this year. The hex code is Dad EFF because it's his first season as a father, and he's Dad as F. You're welcome. Thanks, Kevin, for that fun fact. I'm sure that when he saw that was a hex code for a shade of blue, he probably lost his mind because that's the kind of detail that he just lives for.
I'm just responding to in our chat upon the whole dump and run topic is still going.
Yeah. Yes. No. The IndyCar culture. Open wheel. You don't do that because at that point you're not moving somebody. You're turning them into an airplane. Open wheel-to-wheel contact is violent. Same thing with sprint cars. You don't move people with sprint cars or anything like that.
Just take the whole culture of Jensen Button and who was the other big guy that ran at Coda that basically said, I have never raced a race like this in my life. They're just not used to this NASCAR culture. It's just not a thing.
It's a one out of every other motorsport. It's entirely unique to stock car racing. But in the meantime, I want to point out Andrew Dyson has dropped. Whoa! Big lockup out of Kenny Powell. He's going to go to the outside wall, but he keeps it off the wall. So
that's the second time. That's the second time in about 5 laps he's done just about the same thing.
Yeah, so he's able to keep it off the wall. But as I was saying, Dyson was reeling Delaney in. He was a second back, then he was 0.8, then it was 0.6, and then once he got to about 0.6, he just started fading. Now he's all the way back to 1.6 seconds, and I think that tire wear may be coming into play here.
Oh, God. So tire wear certainly coming into play here. His lap time's down about 0.7 from the best laps, but again, referencing our live interactions here, someone once told somebody in YouTube chat that if the 83 is on your butt, you will get dumped. Is that a myth or is that fact? I will I'll retort to you with more experience.
So Adam Benefiel, here's the thing. If Adam Benefiel bumps you, and he does bump, without really any hesitation, but if he does bump you, it's almost a sign of respect. Because if he thinks that you can't take that bump and you're going to wreck the car, then, he's not going to hit you. The reason he drove so rough with Bryson Hixenbaugh back in the day, and the reason he's been so rough with drivers like Cam Stone, John Delaney, a lot of these other guys, he knows they can take it. He knows he can put the bumper to him, and he can, kind of do that. And he has faith that, hey, if I bump him, he's not going to wreck. He'll hold on to it. So he does do it, but it's almost a sign of respect.
So he almost has the Dale Earnhardt level of respect. He will put you in the position only if he likes you.
Exactly. Also, yes, Gordon never did IndyCar. It was sprint cars that he came from, and that is where he came from. But the mentality is the same across all open wheel. It is just you don't make wheel contact. You don't even make bumper contact.
The thing is, even in short track culture, late models, the Cars Tour, maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, the culture of just demolishing people really only exists in like the top divisions of NASCAR, ironically enough.
Yes, because late models like on dirt and everything, you can bump people and you can get away with it, but most people just don't. It's just a completely different culture.
Because you're paying for it out of your pocket, and your sponsorship money is so minimal. When you come here, it's it's rich kid and whatever. There'll be a new car for me next week. I don't care. But that's a podcast topic right there. That is
one of the closest battles on track right now. I just noticed Jamie Knopf has been behind Wayne Grassi for a few laps, and he just made a lunge, made a bit of a dive bomb that was for position, and he was able to get around the 3. So we'll see if he can reel in the next car in line. That's going to be Dustin Hall, who, remember, was up front earlier tonight, got involved in a few scuffles, had to go a little bit further back, may have some damage from those.
Dustin Hall is one of our cam drivers, and cam drivers do have some bad luck. Tends to be the case here. Is going through here. There's Dustin Hall on your screen, on board with him. I think we'll get a visual. There's the head lean.
And guys, there's another good battle right now. Kyle Ammon has been door-to-door with Jeremy Miller for the better part of 3 laps. So these two side by side. Jeremy Miller's up in that. He's entering the corner up in the dark pavement that you mentioned, Corey. Makes a little bit of contact with Kyle Ammon. Ammon's loose. He may concede the position. Finally, does he? No. He's going to drive it in even deeper on the brakes,
Let's see
sliding
if he
into
clears
the corner.
himself. Oh nope, he thought about clearing himself, and he basically did. But I think Jeremy just kind of just decided, hey, it's not worth it there. And watch out, Kenny Powell, who has been having issues here on the brakes, just behind Miller there. So gotta watch in the rear view there. But just as you can see on the top of your screen on the left side with the telemetry there, Dyson, who was battling in loose terms there with Delaney. Now, I think the mistakes are just very regular. A gap over 2 seconds as Delaney, haven't said this in weeks, Delaney doing Delaney things.
Yeah, Delaney really driving away with it, and the battle a little bit further back that we've been following with Kenny Powell, Jeremy Miller. This is a good battle, and you've also got some heavy hitters. Look at Bobby Anderson back here. Again, he was running in the top 5 earlier, got shuffled back. Now he's in traffic. You know that number 5 is pretty quick. He ducked down pit road, I believe. He just disappeared out of frame, so down pit road he goes. We may see a few more drivers start to consider doing the same, and there is another driver on pit road. Who is that? Can't quite see.
RJ Root in. Yep, so those guys who, 75 laps is the kind of the mark for many of these drivers right now. So it's still within realm. But if you know you have to pit, I suppose maybe the best move is to make the stop early, take advantage of the tires, and try to unlap yourself, I guess, before the stage. Maybe that would be probably the best course of action. This sounds good to me, so I'll kind of go with it for the time being. There's Ralph Hutchison on screen, who right there in the top 10 right now. Just ahead of that, you have Nolan Hodgson having a really solid run there. Hodgson, remember last week at Atlanta, nearly won the thing, as did Cam Stone nearly won the thing, but it was a photo finish of sorts to the green-white checker conclusion there that the Hodgson lost it just by a matter of a few feet.
Yeah, just a matter of a few feet indeed. Look at Ralph Hutchison trying to dive bomb down around the number 4 if he can make it happen. And he does, and that seems to be the move, Corey. I mean, we've seen some drivers pass on the high side. It takes a lot, and diamonding the corner can get you an overtake too, but it seems like the only surefire way to get the position and to get it quick is just to drive it in deep and hope that it sticks, and that's exactly what he did. As here comes Trevor Ryan down pit road as well. But yeah, that dive bomb move, we've seen it a few times tonight, and so far it seems to be working out too well. But the question is, when does somebody dive bomb a little bit too deep and then things go sideways?
Yeah, exactly that here. So we'll wait and see what happens here. As again, Miller on screen, SOB on screen as well. That's all 24th. Just waiting to see another peel off for our top drivers. So again, just to kind of summarize things, as I think that's Trevor Ryan exiting the pits there. I think he was a lead lap driver as well. So top 3 drivers need to pit before the end of the stage here. And here comes Cam Stone in the pits right now. So this is the first of the drivers in contention that is making that pit stop. And let's see what he does. I'm going to assume it's going to be 4 tires and fuel, and he's going to go send to try to unlap himself before lap 185. Otherwise, the rest of this race is going to be battling from behind.
So the right side jack goes up, does the left. Yes, it does. 4 tires.
And I do want to reference, so while we are having a good time with the topic in our chat about the bumping situation, we don't want to just kind of sit on the same topic over and over again, but we apologize if that makes anybody upset. But back to the racing at hand right now. Again, that same battle is still hot right there at the edge of the top 10.
Yeah, just barely trying to hang on to that position if he can. But all of the running order just getting shuffled up like crazy. Drivers coming down pit road, drivers staying out. Delaney has yet to pit. Dyson has yet to pit. Here comes DeCiani in the 4 car. Now, I'm curious, what is going to be the winning strategy, the undercut or the overcut? tire wear seems to matter here. It seems to be pretty important, and if that's the case, you know, maybe taking the undercut is going to be the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's really, like I said, what you're gonna have to do to try to just salvage the situation, because you are going to be at a huge disadvantage if you do go, you know, almost 2 laps down. But that's just akin to what Loudon is at Loudon in the real world, and this is very well replicated in sim. Loudon is a strategy track. It's a lot of different strategies, a lot of different tire calls, and whoever makes that right call and makes the right moves is on the top of the pylon at the end, and a lot of drivers get bit and put in bad situations, as we're seeing right now.
I wouldn't necessarily say bad situations, just uncomfortable, and I think that's kind
Less
of a
than ideal.
Yeah, I think that sums up most people's experience in this race. We haven't seen any massive wrecks.
John Delaney is super loose and slideways on his pit entry there. We're going to have to get a replay of that. He was blowing up underneath somebody there on the road to the pits there, and hopefully he got himself blowed up in time. We'll cue up the replay there.
Yeah, we'll see if he got a speeding penalty. So he's right underneath the 44.
He's
Randy
doing the Delaney yeet. And it doesn't work on old tires.
Just, you know, that banking transition, I think, got him more than anything. But I would say he probably got down to pit road speed. I don't think that looked too egregious.
Well, the determination will be made now. Yep, he's good. See some more smoke there in turn number 1, but no caution of sorts yet. Clayton Hoffman has found himself in the pits. There goes Dyson. Still waiting on, I think, 1 or 2 more to conclude the cycle of those who absolutely have to pit, and then we'll kind of get some good intervals and see where everyone stands once it all shakes out.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part here, is just where everybody kind of falls in line. And it's going to be, I think, a very educational experience for these guys, because if you take the undercut now and it works, well, you've got that in the bank. You know that you can try to pull that later on in the race if it becomes a relevant strategy move. And if it doesn't work, then you know that, hey, I might as well just stay out. It's not worth coming down pit road and risking a caution coming out while I'm on pit road, when I could just stay out, and that's the better call. But again, we're not sure which strategy is going to be on top. Benefiel, Hutchison, these guys have not pit. Hoytsma, Mobley, Kyle Ammon, Jeremy Miller, Jamie Knopf. These guys staying out for the long haul, which, by the way, I think, and I may be wrong here, but I think Kyle Ammon has that decal on his dashboard this week that he wanted us to show last week when the car did not get fielded. So let's take a look at the onboard. Does he have anything of note here? I'm not seeing anything special. Did he lie to us again? Oh, maybe that's what he was talking about. He has a chassis number. That would be a very Kyle Ammon thing to do.
The K, the backwards K, as if the Toys R Us there. He has his own signature over his name, I think that is. So again, people, these they built that little personalization sticker in back during the Pro Invitational days, which was basically when iRacing decided they have to update things because on national TV it made things look outdated. But when they were on air, Mike Joyce said when we do a onboard, we don't know who it is. So iRacing within a week managed to go in and put that little sticker in there, so that way when we're doing an onboard,
Amazing,
you know who it is.
How quick things can change when money is involved, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the amount of and it got put on the Indy cars as well. So again, and 7 tracks got texture updates, new ads, 3D safer barriers, and all the ones that weren't on the air got untouched.
And the graphics updates in general, I think, were really important because the game looks pretty good now. Like visually,
not here, but the tracks that are modernized, yes.
But the cars and the reflections and the tracks that are modernized, they look modern, right? It looks like a current video game. Yeah. And some people may not remember, before COVID, we were kind of looking at NR 2003 models for the most part.
Yeah.
So they did a good job.
when we go back to Martinsville is the oldest active scan in the game, and even though it's still the same scan, it finally got a massive texture update, and it looks really, really good. Interestingly enough, SMI tracks seem to stay outdated a lot longer. I don't know why. But, topics worth discussing there. But Benefiel, so basically we're in a situation there where our top four is 66 laps into their run. They should be able to go the other 25. Actually, 91 with the cautions we've had. They should be able to make it to the end. It'll be very, very tight. John Delaney is now 5th, but he is 19 seconds or so behind right now. So I don't think there's any feasible way that he wins this stage, but we'll have to get some lap times up, and we'll have to check. Last time by, Benefiel at a 31.6, 31.5 last time by, but he wasn't during traffic. Then you have Delaney at a 30.5, so a full second faster. So math says Delaney can get there.
Yeah, he may be able to. The lap count does permit it at this rate, but there is some things to consider. He's got some traffic in front of him, which is going to impede that progress. It's going to put him in dirty air. It's going to, make him have to change his line to get around him. So we'll see what he can do. While everybody sorts out, Benefiel and Hutchison, as well as Hoytsma, they're just up here saying, we're going to run it dry. We're going to run this thing till it's spitting and sputtering, and then we're going to come down pit road. And
32 flat for Benefiel last time as he was getting
that
past.
is nearly 2 seconds off pole, I believe.
Yeah, so as Benefiel, he's going to be in that situation, as is a couple of the guys that are staying out, is they're just getting past, like they're standing still. And that puts them in situations that even though they're already running a second off the pace, they're getting put in rough situations, getting split by the faster guys, and that makes them even run a slower lap than they would otherwise, which of course only helps those guys who are trying to chase, your Delaney's, your Dysons, Long and company.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see when these guys are finally going to break and come down pit road. I almost feel like with the amount of cautions we've had, they kind of got it in their head that there's no way we're going to get a full fuel run under green. That's just not going to happen. And then, the winds of change have come, and cautions are not quite as frequent. We've got a really long green flag run, and they may have to come down. An overcut can be a good thing, but staying out this long can only be a detriment to your overall pace. So I don't think they're gaining anything by doing this.
No.
But
I don't know if Carlos, we can cut the camera to the leader now, because he is in an absolute gaggle right now. Benefiel with Hickenbottom there. He just got by Grassy. There's the drum hammer back there. Robert Miller at the back of the shot there. So that is all not helping Benefiel run his optimal times. But Delaney, now he's only about 13, 14 seconds left. So 20 laps to go, 14, 15 seconds or so. The math still works, but the practicality is still a tough ball game.
yeah, it's gonna be something, and that's again if they can even make it to the end. Benefiel, Hutchison, we don't know if they can. It's gonna be close. So if they can, that is going to be quite a feat. That'd be a way to steal some stage points for sure. Benefiel will definitely be crowned the strategy king of the race if he can win 2 stages on strategy alone with a car that he feels isn't handling up to par. But we got another 20 laps in the stage before we determine whether or not that'll be the case. Dustin Hall behind Mark Paget, just kind of diamonding the corner, taking it easy. There's John Delaney. He has caught Hutchison. So this is really the last car for position that he's going to have to battle. Then it's going to be smooth sailing up to Benefiel. Did Hutchison just pull down to pit road? No, he did not. He's on the bottom lane. He's going to try to fight back, but he can't fight against those fresher tires. So he's going to fall back to third. Now John Delaney has more or less clear track up to the leader. It's 12.6 seconds, and it's about 18 laps to the end of the stage. So, possible with that 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second difference. And remember, one of those laps he was battling the number 8, so he could be even faster than that. But I don't know. It's up in the air.
The interesting thing would be for Benefiel. So remember, Benefiel 2 weeks ago in Nashville had the race won on speed, lost it on a strategy call. And ironically, he's in position to have won the first 2 stages on a strategy call. So not Benefield style racing, but sometimes you got to find a way to make it work. Jeff Gordon at the Brickyard 2014 had to learn how to make a restart work. So sometimes you have to manage to put all the situations together in your favor. And again, we don't usually see Benefield on the strategy end of it. He usually likes to be on the raw speed of it, but so far it's working for him.
Wayne Grassy coming down pit road in the number 3. If he had not come down pit road, that would have been some lap traffic. John would have had to navigate, which would have slowed him down a little bit. But the track was kind of cleared up in front of him. He's now starting to lose just a little bit of that pace, 0.7 of a second, whereas it was 0.8 of a second the last 2 laps. Have to wait and see 10 seconds, 10.5 seconds, the difference as he rolls out of 4. What is going to be the lap time difference between the leader and John this time? He's going to cross the stripe, and drum roll, please, it is 0.8 of a second. So he's hovering right around 8 to 7 of a tenth.
0.6.
Yeah. Oh no, I can't see the pixels. I'm looking again at 240p here. So 0.6. He's kind of slowing down then.
Yep, and as predicted, and the interesting thing is that is a 60 lap tire differential, but you have to remember stage 1. Benefield stayed out. It was on 58 lap old tires, won the stage on guys that had 58 lap pressure tires. So
hold up,
it's
guys, my
one of the very
mic is
few
hot.
tracks.
I'd
Hi, Carlos.
like to point out, actually, based on Benefield's average lap time, it would be 0.8 of a second, but he pulled up a really fast lap time, 0.45, or excuse me, 0.48, that previous lap. So Benefield actually looks like he's staying on par to what to what he usually is. Delaney is, but Benefield looks like he's picking up some speed actually.
Kind
So
of the
Delaney's
nuance
pace
of,
not changing.
kind of the nuance of fresh tires is think of it as a gap. You put your hands out as wide as they can get. That's how the speed difference on old tires to super new tires. And then as that run progresses, just put your hands in closer and closer, and those lap time variants just become much smaller. So if you can deal with the initial brunt of it, typically you can hang on towards the end of it as the new tires start to become just okay tires.
And we know that Adam does have quite a bit of confidence in the old tires as well. I mean, he said in his interview, do the tires even really matter? Because after his strategy call worked so well, he was thinking, well, I wasn't as off pace as I thought I was going to be. So maybe that's something he learned in stage 1. He's carrying it to stage 2. He's got to go about 11 more laps. Actually, it's going to be 11.5 when he takes the back straightaway here to get to the end of the stage. And again, I'm not sure on the fuel situation. I would have to imagine if he's driving this hard, he's either absolutely certain he can make it or he's absolutely certain he can't. But I don't think he's saving either way.
Yeah, I'm confident because Jeffrey Souza being a team owner, being a setup I don't know if he's a setup maker, but he works them. He told me 90 laps. So maybe it's 91, and there were 2 or 3 cautions in the beginning of it. So I don't really think there's a big question on it. That's Dustin Hall there, I think, was low there on the back straightaway. I think he had a little bit of issue off turn number 2 there, but carries on just fine. Got 10 laps to go, 7 seconds last time by. Variant was about 0.8 last time by, a 31.95. And here comes Delaney crossing the stripe. Only a half second last time by. So, but also look at the gaggle that Benefield's in right now. Is all these guys are trying to get their lap backs. These guys aren't just slouching around. This is all fresh tire guys trying to get back on the lead lap so that they don't have to be a wave around guy. They can pit on the same lap as the leader and, not have that big lucky dog variant.
Yeah, obviously if you take the wave around, you are forced to the end of the longest line. So you do not want that to happen. If you can get some track position on your pit stop and be on the lead lap, that's what you want. Now, I got to ask you, Corey, and I'm curious what your thoughts are here. What do you make out of the Cam Stone strategy? He took 4 tires, and he pitted long before John Delaney had. He came out behind John, The tires are now old enough that he's absolutely going to have to pit when the stage comes out. He'll be at a huge disadvantage if he doesn't. Was that a missed call, or do you think he knows something that maybe I don't?
In this specific situation, I think he was just kind of maximizing what the car was going to give him. He is starting to fade. As you said, he was better when the sun came out. Now that it's full cloudy, he's not as good. So in this instance, I think he was just maximizing what his car was going to give. He knows he can't hang with Delaney in this current weather. So I think he just didn't want to deal with a bad car any more than he had to. Because usually, as we've seen in iRacing, you don't want to do the undercut for too long because it usually does come back to bite you.
Yeah, and now that is something that he is aware of, at least, going forward, and didn't lose a lot. I mean, he's still in the top 5, so when the field gets stacked up, that's still going to be row 3, which is pretty close to the front, and now he's armed with a little bit more knowledge than he had before. Look at this behind Dustin Hall. There's Bobby in the number 5 making a pass, just out of frame. There is John Delaney, who, by the way, he has been having a whale of a time with Wayne Grassi. He made the pass, and you would have thought that John would have pulled away from Wayne, but those tires on that number 3 are looking pretty good, and he's keeping pace with John. He's right there with them.
Grassi's tires he's only 10 laps into his stint, and that's one of the awkward situations that you come into with back markers. Is sometimes, even though you're on older tires, you're basically equal to a back marker on new tires, so you can never quite shake them. But Grassi's gonna create a gap there to make Delaney's life a little bit easier.
Tell you what, big props to Wayne Grassi. We've seen a lot of cars get loose out of that corner and not make that save. So the fact that he was able to get that thing corrected before things got catastrophic, kind of a rarity. But look at this. A cluster of cars.
2.8 seconds. So this is helping Delaney massively, but only 3 laps to go. So I don't think it's going to have a race-changing effect, but definitely stress-inducing for the leader.
Yeah, that was a big help to Delaney, but it wasn't enough necessarily, as Benefield did finally get around him. Now, if Bobby makes this move here and he starts fighting for it, that could change things, and Bobby does make the dive bomb, gets in front of the 83.
Then 2 seconds.
Yeah, we'll see if Benefield tries to strike back, or does he just take the pace that the 5 is running and try to ride behind him, not bother slowing both of them down. Sometimes it's better just to ride behind somebody, even if they're a little bit slower. If you start racing them, then you're both going to slow down, and I don't think you can afford that with Delaney closing in.
Well, Dustin Hall is fighting with Delaney probably as hard as he can right now to just help Benefield in any capacity. Ultimately, Delaney did get by, but maybe cost him 2 or 3 tenths. Now the gap within a second. I mean, do we have a last lap stage battle coming up right here? It's only a second and a half.
So this time around the track, and then the next, and that'll be it for stage 2. Benefield with a 1.3 second lead. You mentioned Dustin Hall fighting John Delaney from a lap down, doing a little bit of, let's say, teamwork, trying to check him up just enough. Now Delaney's got to get around Jeremy Miller, who, in his own right, he's not really been up front, but he's had some speed. He may not be the easiest cookie to pass out here. So that might hold up John enough, as a cluster of cars is in the windshield of our race leader. White flag of the stage. The Our Publix Chicken Tenders on sale.com white flag of the stage. It's not actually the sponsor, but they're not on sale, so says Carlos. Bobby Anderson
try to do a chicane
down low. And I think this should be it for Adam. He can cinch it through this corner. John's not close enough. It was a valiant effort. He got it under a second. But this is for a lead lap position as well. Bobby's going to take it.
And he got slowed up so much there by Anderson that Delaney pulled it to him 2 car lengths there at the stage.
Now think if Dustin Hall hadn't slowed him down. He might have got that stage. But, wow, that was really fun to watch. That was so close.
So now you know that if there's a 60-lap tire difference and you pit, you still cannot lap around this track fast enough to get back to where you started. So that'll be very important information to heed into stage number 3 right now. Adam Benefield gets the second playoff point and try to close in on Lucas Hoytsma on the top of the pylon there. these playoff points will have some pretty good benefit towards him here towards the end of the regular season, and predict we'll have a bunch of pit stops here as that 83 must be on fumes right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's a soul on the track that is going to stay out. If they do, it'll be a surprise. We can't interview our stage winner until he gets out of the pits. So in the meantime, or anybody that we interview, we may go to somebody else. But in the meantime, while they pit, I just want to mention I noticed the description for the stream, and I hadn't really been looking at this, but in the description you will see that it mentions Rob Tracy's friend Dave Bush was recently diagnosed with emphysema and COPD, and he does not have much time left. So a GoFundMe has been set up if you want to donate and help his family out with medical bills and the likes. It would be greatly appreciated. This league does, we try to do what we can for anybody in the racing family. And Rob Tracy, he's been a part of this league for a while, and we wish all the best for his friend and his family. So link to the GoFundMe is in the description. If you can help, great. If not, no pressure, obviously. Just showing up, maybe some well wishes are equally valuable, I would say. But in the meantime, everybody coming down pit road, everybody out of pit road, I'm going to let you make the call, Corey. Who do you want to interview?
Well, we've already talked to Delaney and we've already talked to Benefiel, so next in line, may as well just go in second place. Let's grab the Aussie Andrew Dyson.
All right, give me one moment.
Or is it New Zealander? I don't know. One of the two.
All right, Andrew Dyson, you got a copy?
Oh, hey guys, how are you?
We're doing pretty good. Now, you've had a pretty good car. You qualified on the pole. You've been pretty much up inside the podium running positions all night long. How you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. Not too bad. It's going well so far, I think. I think Delaney might have had a little bit more than me on the long run stuff, which I kind of expected, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Absolutely. Corey, got anything?
So I wanted to talk about is we've seen the weather here be very, very changing. Sun comes out, cloud comes out. Is there a preference for your car as to what you like better, or is it actually kind of indifferent? What's the logic with the weather here today?
Yeah, pretty indifferent, but I have noticed the track's very fast at the moment, so I think that means you can kind of get away with running some different lines and stuff. But I mean, some of the guys yesterday were running some pretty crazy lines and getting away with it, and I think the track was a little warmer in the D2 race. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it really makes too much of a difference. I think it just kind of tends to make the cars either faster or slower, really. But that's yeah, not any different for me, really. I don't think.
All right, just one more quick one before we go. Obviously, the tire strategy. We've seen 70-lap old tires be able to stay out. Do you have any tire strategies planned with how indifferent tires seem to be here tonight?
Well, I think yeah, because the tires go so long, you really can take the gamble and go long on them with a fuel strap play, like we saw Adam do that last run before the stage. So yeah, I think it's more a game of positioning and track position than tires. But when to take the tires is key.
All right, well, you're in the right paint scheme today, so let's see if you can win one without controversy, man. Well, good luck. Let's get back at it.
Cheers, guys. Let's have a go.
That is Andrew Dyson there, as we'll, I forget what we call it on this channel, but let's go ahead and do temporarily loud engines, make things go vroom. Let's have let's hear some V8 engine sounds.
Bring the noise.
Yeah, that.
All right, so Lucas Hoytsma is going to bring the noise to a close. Well, he brought the noise. Unfortunately, the noise that he brought was the squealing of tires getting loose out of the turn 2 portion of the track. He was able to avoid pretty much any and all contact. And we are going to take a quick look at that.
Drove to the inside, and
the line behind him.
Tank. Oh, yeah, RJ Rude having issues there too, and that was just that was called an algorithm. That was what we call an algorithmic caution. It really shouldn't have been a caution, but in just the nature of how games are coded, it just was just enough to trigger the algorithm there.
So RJ didn't get any help. Both those drivers got loose on their own accord there. And that is, you get used to driving on worn tires and warm tires at that. You put on those cold tires, and sometimes you try to drive those lines that you were running before, and that is the result. But hey, everybody just pitted. Nothing's going to change under this caution. So we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back for the drop of the green, getting close to lap 200 here for the CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301. And we are back from break. Lights are off on the pace car. We're rolling through 1 and 2. So just a short trip down the back straightaway and into the Geico restart zone. We'll be back underway. It's Andrew Dyson on the outside of row 1. And it's going to be John Delaney on the inside. Then you got Matt Long, Adam Benefiel, Cam Stone, Neil Pearson. It really is quite a race up front because there's just so many names. Clayton Hoffman, Matt DeCiani. I mean, all these guys have speed. So it's so hard to try to make any predictions or say, hey, here's what's going to happen. All we can do is watch along and see. But
Carlos, why is Adam's number in yellow?
Swept the stages.
Yeah, because he swept the stages. I'm trying it out this time.
Okay, so so little interesting tidbits there because I didn't know that. I don't even have that capability. I'm kind of jealous. Either way, green flag back in the air, and Dyson. Again, Delaney is just the king of restarts here, getting jumps of a champion here. Well, he is a champion, so that works out. Gets that jump here, but here comes Matt Long going for second. Dyson has the short run speed. He doesn't want to give this up. He needs to try to battle with Delaney while he can keep him in his sights there, and he'll do just that. Oh, we're wrecking.
Oh boy. And
that
that's going to be
Pavitt and Pearson and a whole bunch of others.
No, Pearson hit by several drivers. I think the smoke screen prevented drivers from knowing exactly where he was, but he got hit in the front, he got hit in the back. That could very easily
Kyle
be
Amon was involved there. Oh, Cam Stone, he was the one that
Oh,
hit
boy.
Pearson there. Yeah, that was a full send by Stone there. And then Padgett gets smushed, and then in 77 to Mobley there. There goes Kyle Amon going around.
Derek Heitman.
Yep.
Damaris involved
Damaris just
again.
came to a stop there.
Not too much damage for Damaris, but yeah, that was just a full send by Cam. We'll take another look at it here. And just, well, you know what? I think Benefiel kind of checked Pearson up more than Cam was expecting him to. Because if you notice, the 83 checks up and then the 47 checks up, and that's when Cam dives it in there. That could have just been an accordion effect. Let's go on board here behind Robert Miller. So this is already kicking off. I believe this is Heitman we're looking at. Yeah. So Heitman with a huge hit to Pearson, and then he goes to the outside wall.
Now, this is not to criticize, but did Heitman slow down? Because he hit him with a head of speed. Not a speed, not a waste of speed, a head of speed. Let's see. We're on board.
He slowed down a little bit.
The RPMs went from about 50. The RPMs did not change to about 10 feet of impact there. So,
but he did try.
He did try. Not to say ARCA brakes. Oh, there's another billboard there. That's inaccurate. Comcast Sportsnet hasn't existed in 7 years. It's become NBC Sports Boston. But anyways, yeah, he did try, but he tried too hard and Q Lincoln Park.
Yep, tried so hard. But we are back under caution, and I don't want to go back to another break. We just had a break. We're not Fox Sports, so I will instead pose a question for you, Corey. Jonathan Delaney, he's been up front. He's been pretty dominant throughout all of stage 2. He lost the stage due to some strategy, but Adam Benefiel swept both the stages on that strategy. He's been the man to beat in terms of calls on the pit box. Do you think he could win it all with strategy?
Well, the cautions have played in a manner and timed themselves in a manner where it made those decisions become available. So I think we're going to have an awkwardly timed caution where you have to make that decision of, well, we've seen it work before. Do I try it? Do I be conservative and see who does what? But if this does go green, we haven't seen him in a clean air battle versus Delaney. I don't know if he has the pure pace for the 6, but if it's going to be a strategy call, I think we have to have a perfectly timed caution to make those decisions be made.
So when we go green, it'll be under 100 to go. It's 101 laps. Well, actually, no, it'll be 100 on the dot because it is 101 laps to go as they run. We'll take the stripe with 100. So we are 2/3 of the way through the CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301. Things heating up a little bit. We had that very long green flag run in stage 2. And meanwhile...
Just laughed at something that you said 10 minutes ago because that's how my brain works. But yeah, 1 to go.
Well, now I'm curious what I said that was...
It was a inadvertent sound effect that made the air. But anyways...
Oh, yes. Okay, I get what you're saying. But in the meantime, this race has been topsy-turvy. Very clean stage 2, and then we get to stage 3. Things are getting a little bit crazy again, just like stage 1.
Hey,
so
Adam, I don't hate you. Did I say something to denote that I'm not a fan of the 83 again?
I mean, other than pronouncing his name wrong, I don't think so.
I don't know. But anyways, back to green flag racing. Delaney on the loud pedal. Again, guys, you got to get with that 6 on the restarts. Another huge jump. Gets that side-by-side battle for second. That'll help him pull away. Matt Long, can he clear Dyson? Dyson's going to try to hang on the outside, try to hang on the quarter panel. Nope, door shut. Now let's see what Matt Long can do. Short run car versus the dominator of the race. Let's see if we can have a battle before Delaney does Delaney things.
And that is a strength that John has, and it was something that Bryson Nixonbaum was really good at back when he was in the league as well. It's just the race starts. These guys are able to get the most traction out of those tires and really ride the line between getting that wheel spin, getting that slippage, and just taking off as quickly as humanly possible. John generally gets at least a few car lengths, but this start was exceptionally good, even by John's standards. 0.6 of a second, the difference as they went into the corner, and then it's going to close up a little bit through the center, but huge gap. And luckily for him, second place isn't just free to run him down without worry, because Andrew Dyson, who we know has at least the second fastest car in the field, maybe even better, is fighting with Matt Long. Cam Stone right behind him, Adam Benefield. These guys clustered up, going to go maybe 2 wide here, maybe 2 by 2, depending on how deep Benefield sends it here. Cam Stone with a huge run. Dyson trying to take the second position away, and he will. So the Aussie is going to move up to P2. All this battling, letting John just get a little further away.
So more and more drivers are starting to learn and perfect the Delaney yeet. Basically drive it down to the flat and send it, and then somehow get it to rotate and keep the run on exit. And big wiggle there. So now that's going to slow up Long a little bit. Almost gave Stone an opportunity to pounce on Long, but they all kind of gave each other the space here, going through 3 and 4. And there goes Adam Benefield in the 83. He's bringing himself into the mix here. Talked about him winning on strategy for the stages, but now he wants to try to win on raw speed here on an even playing field.
And, you know, there's only so much you can really do. Oh, boy, contact.
Oh,
Adam
boy.
Benefield had to check up big time for Cam Stone.
Pillsbury there. Oh,
yeah.
boy.
That was a very close call, but Benefield did. He cut Cam some slack there. I think if we were, you know, a little bit closer to the end, that slack would not have been cut. As he got a little bit loose, he was able to maintain the position. So Cam pulled on to 4th.
Little smoke. Delaney yeet. Oh, not quite. He only half did it. To the inside is Adam Benefield there. And he's going to go side by side with Stone. Stone on the outside. There's Victory Lane going down the back straightaway. They're going to be door to door. Let's see if Benefield wants to dive it in for the clear. He'll do just that. He's going to try to slide it on up there. He's not going to slide. Technically, Stone probably could have ran the 3rd lane there and defended a little bit more, but move Benefield up to 4th.
Yeah, that was a great move out of Benefield, and I think Stone was probably wanting to try to do a crossover there, but he didn't quite get the drive down the banking that he would have liked, so he just kind of had to fall in line, and that's going to move Benefield up another position. He's got Matt Long in his windshield, and out front it is Dyson trying to reel in Delaney, but Delaney extending that gap just ever so slightly.
Well,
and as I look... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was going to say in Dyson terms, it'd be a windscreen, is what they say in every other country besides the U.S.
We have Lucas Hoytsma 3 wide further back, the 07, the 12, and the 84, and the 07 goes around.
Commentators curse. There goes, is that the incident cap there?
That would not surprise me. Yeah, he got incidented out. That was probably his 4th incident of the day.
We didn't even talk about that as an option here on the evening, but down to the inside of Hodgson there, and I think it was the hit to Anderson there that did him in. Incident cap here on the evening is a number that I don't remember, but I will look up right now. 13 being told, which 15, 1-5, which is actually the same incident it was last night, but extra 100 laps just to add to the challenge here. And kind of what we talked about with tank mode, Andre, earlier in the season, when you have a bunch of contacts that don't cause, you know, race-ending damage, that incident cap, that incident number can keep raising while you're still running competitively.
Yeah, and it's a shame that went down that way. That was going to be a really good battle, I think, between those 3 drivers. Unfortunately, Lucas just got in a little bit hot and got into Hodgson there. Hodgson did a good job keeping his car under control. One thing that's got me concerned about that incident is the fact that Bobby Anderson got into Lucas there. And, you know, Bobby's been so good all night long, but I got to think he's getting close to that incident limit as well. If the 07 got pointed out, I think Bobby's not far off, because he's been involved in a few scuffles, and it hasn't been his fault. Like, he really hasn't done anything wrong all night, but sometimes, you know, you get caught up in other people's stuff, wrong place, wrong time, and that's happened to that 5 a lot.
Time for a team owner and driver conversation here in difficult terms here, Andre.
All right. Lucas, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Lucas, looks like the incident limit has come to bite you. It was a rough night all around. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I think I got those first 12 incidents and the first 50 laps of this race. Just kind of bumper contacts. Car never got any damage from any of them, but I was sitting with 12X pretty much the entire last 150 laps, and then all of a sudden had these two sitting in front of me for 15 laps straight, and I just tried to do something, and car did not like the apron line and slid right up into that 42, and it just went around on me. I was hoping nobody would hit me, but unfortunately I caught up Anderson in it, so sorry to him if he's listening. Didn't want us to go down that way, just kind of wanted to rattle their cages, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the handling, your car got a little loose, like you said. That's been a problem for everybody tonight. We've seen cars have single car spins. We've seen drivers getting a little bit tail happy out of the corners. How rough is this track in terms of drivability right now?
I mean, I think every part of it's got a pothole somewhere. You try to go into the corner one way, and then the next lap it just does something completely different. I could not get a handle on it all night. I hit a few people. I hit a few walls. I do not like this track. I think a lot of people know that. And no, honestly, this is kind of a good thing. So happy to be out.
Yeah, I know that feeling. When a track is that frustrating, sometimes it's better just to climb out, put it behind you, and then look ahead. But either way, you still got a teammate on track, so not all is lost. Maybe you can provide some moral support, if nothing else. But we're sorry your race ended the way it did, Lucas, and thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man.
Wasn't he the one that had the Save Chicago paint scheme?
Yes.
So I'm shocked he didn't have a bulldozed New Hampshire paint scheme, if that's his sentiments towards the Speedway.
Yeah, New Hampshire, it's one of those interesting tracks. It's had some really boring races in real life and in sim. It's had some really crazy races in real life and in sim. And it's definitely not one of the easier tracks to drive. I remember in real life a couple of years ago, the line that they were running was that they would enter the corner really low. They would slide up to the corner, the outer line towards the wall in the center, and then they would drive back down the banking.
Yep, that was in the resin PJ1 era. And
yeah.
As they were talking about, now we're back into an au naturel state. It's finally wore off, so it's more emulation of what we have in the sim here. Now, can somebody figure out what Delaney is doing and stay with him on a restart? I'm going to say no, but let's see if that's the case. Pace car is in. It's going to be Cam Stone to the inside. Green flag in the air, and it's still got to jump, but not as bad. Not as big, I don't think.
Now that's going to put Cam Stone up to second. Sean O'Brien Jr. is currently third. Matt DiCiani in fourth in that number 4 machine. Meanwhile, you've got Hutchison and Dyson a little bit further back. DiCiani might be looking to make a move on 24. Oh!
Someone incidented it out. Situations going on here.
Matt Long involved. Oh, no.
97, I think that is Knopf perhaps down to the inside, I believe. But
that was Jamie Knopf in the 84.
We'll trigger up a replay and doing a foot here at Loudon here in the final third of this race, coming off corner exit. I'll have to get a different perspective, but they were playing bumper cars, and the Knopf and Long definitely got the worst end of the stick there.
Yeah, not having a good time, just a little bit tail happy, and Matt Long, just a bystander. He got broadsided. I mean, he probably didn't even notice anything was going on behind him, and then all of a sudden he's facing backwards. That was rough. Yeah, Jeremy Miller, I think, may have gotten pointed out, as Carlos said, just a little bit fishtailing out of the corner, and yep, there he goes. That's the incident limit. Well, hey, we're going to throw it to another short break, and we will be back for the drop of the green. We hate to kind of do that too often, but 12th caution of the night. We'll be back. And we are back. We're going to try it again. 12th caution on the night, about to end. We're going to go back green at lap 219. SOB, the namesake of the race, CC O'Brien, it's Irish Bar 301. He's up in the podium position there in third, although he does have a quickly increasing in pace, number 4. I don't know where he's found that speed, but he's been dicing his way through the field. Pace car pulls off, and it is going to be maybe another classic John Delaney start. Let's see what kind of jump he gets. Well, not as much. Looks like Cam Stone's going to be able to slot in right behind him. Sean O'Brien Jr. is going to be side by side for third, but as they roll through the corner, he should be able to take that position securely, and he does. He's going to slide in front of his 4 machine just barely. And now it is the battle that we've seen time and time again, 6 and the 57.
Yep, 6 and the 57 indeed here. As I'm scrolling back, they're still too wide, about probably 6th, 7th on back right now. So definitely still a hurricane commencing here. Miller to the inside of Hoffman there. That's a battle for 8th and 9th here, as up front to the gap, about 2 car lengths there for the race lead. Then a gap back to the 3rd spot with Pisciani is I thought he was going by Sean O'Brien there, but there goes Andrew Dyson to the outside. I think he's going to go around Pisciani and try to go 2 for 1 to the outside of Sean O'Brien here through 3 and 4.
Yeah, he might try to make that move if the window opens, but it did close right there. So Dyson up to 4th. John Delaney not getting away, and here's the crazy thing. So I'm noticing that one end of the track for a while during that last caution was in the sun. The clouds have come back, but 3 and 4 was in the sun for most of that caution. Might have heated it up, might have played into Cam Stone's wheelhouse here, but overall, the shade has come back, and I think it's going to go right back to Delaney. We'll see if Cam's got anything for him. He's still on the bumper, not letting him drive away at the very least.
I think our track temp, if I remember, started in the 90s, I believe. We're down to an 83-degree track temp here as we close in on 5 o'clock virtual time here. So definitely more grip on offer. And I think Mark Padgett may have just incidented it out, because I've just seen him fall down the ticker there. So maybe another one biting the dust here. Attrition starting to kick in, Andre. We have about 24 cars approximately on track right now, of which 19 on the lead lap.
Yeah, the attrition finally setting in, mostly at the hands of the incident limit, more so than anything else, but it's taken a long time, and there is still quite a few competitive cars on track that could definitely play a factor here. Cam Stone backing off on corner entry just a little bit. I think he might be kind of weary of following people too closely into the corner just after what happened with Benefiel and those other drivers that got stacked up. So he may be kind of backing up the entry, taking the slow in, fast out approach if he can do so. But he is keeping pace with John. The question in my mind is, can he keep pace with him on the long... Oh! Pancakes the outside wall. But back to my question, can he keep pace with him on the long run? Because that seems to be where John is strong.
I was just going on board with him to see what he's doing, and he is shifting. So when you're shifting, you're putting more stress on those rear tires. Excuse me, I'm dying.
Rest in peace, Corey Silva. Lap 0 to lap 225. Oh man, the mic's muted. He's really dying. In the meantime, we have the 3rd place driver reeling in our leaders. He was, well, I don't know where he came from. He was like 10 car lengths back, and then I blinked, and now he's right up here with Cam Stone and John Delaney. So Andrew Dyson, he has kicked on the afterburners, and he is there.
Yeah, granola bar got stuck in my throat there, and it's still fighting with me, but able to speak nonetheless. But what I was saying, Cam Stone shifting, it's putting more pressure on those rear tires, lighten them up, more temperature into it. So it will cause him to have wheel spin later in the run, as we just saw with that wiggle there off of 2. And here comes Dyson trying to run a lower line, get some fresh air on the nose. Need to use the banking to help rotate the car there. And top 3 under a blanket here. So it makes me wonder, Andre, is Delaney holding back, or is his car going away here towards the end?
That is a good question, and I have no clue. I feel like if John could get out to a big lead right now, he probably would. just because he knows Cam's fast, and it seems like whoever gets the lead, it's pretty tough to take it away from him. So, you don't want Cam or Dyson or really any of these guys up here to get into clean air and start driving away with it. So the fact that he's kind of got the 57 right on his bumper and he's not trying to drive away tells me he's probably giving it all he's got right now. And another thing to point out, DeCiani 1.86 seconds back. Then you got Robert Miller inside the top 5 for the first time tonight. He's 2.5 seconds back. Ralph Hutchison, again, surprisingly good tonight. He's back there in 6th, but the move for second place is upon us. Andrew Dyson wasting no time. He's going to take that low line, try to side draft.
Yeah, he couldn't do the full slide job there because there wasn't enough space as close as he was to Delaney here. So now again, he's kind of stuck. He couldn't full send it. He got bogged down by Delaney through the center here, which is going to let Stone kind of recoup the momentum on the outside, keep them side by side as a slower car is in front. That is the 77 of Dalton Mobley. He tried to clear, wasn't enough space. He gave him the lane. Stone is fighting, but I think that Legal will do him in.
Yeah, that little bit of a slide was all it took. He was giving it a valiant effort, and he was getting good runs on the high side. And as long as John kept Dyson kind of pinned back, he had a shot at defending the position. But this track, it's bit a lot of drivers. I mean, these cars are loose out there. You heard Lucas mention there's a pothole just about every square inch of this track, and it's not an easy driving condition out there right now. So Cam making a bit of a slip up at the wrong time. That opened the door to Dyson. Now, if Dyson can get to John, I have no doubt he's going to try to make this move, and he's not going to be patient about it. Let's see what he can do. Closes in through the center of the corner and out through the straightaway. Looks like John gets a slightly better exit. But this could be a battle.
So my question, so obviously when you win this race in the real world, you get Loud in the Lobster, which on average is a live 20-pound plus lobster. And the drivers always have a very interesting reaction to holding it in victory lane. Now I wonder if lobster is as big of a entity down in Australia as it is up here. So, because if so, Andrew's going to have a big lobster on his hands here if he can get by Delaney. But there is still a pit stop on the books here. We're at 70-ish laps to go. We've been out there. Actually, we're right on the cusp. I think they actually can make it to the end from here just barely. And where we do have attrition, this potentially could go all the way.
Just had a moment off camera with Nolan Hodgson. He got a little bit loose as he was side by side with Kyle Ammon. That opened the door for Benefield to get around. There was fixing to be some good three-wide racing, but again, just a little bit of a wiggle put an end to that. This track just really biting these drivers. Meanwhile, Andrew Dyson up front, he's close. I mean, he's within striking distance. He's got to get a little bit closer. Got to hope that maybe John overdrives a little bit, opens up the door for a lunge. Once he can see the lunge, once there's a line, if gapped car, and he will take it.
Excuse me, I did look up that lobster is not it's not found natively in Australia, so I don't know if Andrew likes it or not. I will say there is a good battle going on with Hodgson and Ammon through 3 and 4. They are basically dooring each other. That is for the 12th and the 13th spot. They've been side by side for laps, giving each other absolutely no space whatsoever. Trevor Ryan, who has recovered from a bunch of issues here today in the 14th spot. Just ahead of that, I saw at the top of the shot, Mobley basically running the Harry Gant line, trying to get out of the way. Big wiggle from Hodgson, big wiggle from Ammon, and Ryan trying to squeeze the spot on the outside if he could fit there. And contact, domino game into 3.
And Ammon's going to go out to the outside wall, keep it off the wall, but he was the ping pong ball there. He was getting pushed from every angle. Trevor Ryan really aggressive. Let's see, is he going to retaliate?
Kyle Ammon is the Jimmy Spencer of this league. And
Kyle Ammon not happy with Trevor Ryan, and you saw it in that shove now, but he's not going to get clear. That's the problem. If you're going to move somebody, you gotta clear Ammon all the way down to the chicane.
If this was NASCAR Thunder 2004, you could just think of the ally and rival meter just getting red and red and red.
Yeah, that he does come across the radio. Kyle Lamon did, and apologized to Matt Long for holding him up there. But definitely, he tried to retaliate. He just didn't quite hit him hard enough, I would say, if that was his goal. Up front, this battle hasn't really changed. It's still 2.5, 3/10 of a second between them. And again, it's that clean air. You know, how many times have we seen this score? You can get to the leader, but it's just so tough to take it away from him.
And interestingly enough, there's a test, I believe, here midweek next week where they're going to be testing a splitter that gives less downforce to the leader and more downforce to the trailing car. Oh, it got postponed, as I'm being told, to the end of the month, but it still is impending, potentially for next year, where the leader will be at a downforce disadvantage and the follower will be at a downforce advantage. Again, physics blow my mind on that, but we'll see if that happens. But it's not in place right now, which is why Dyson, I do fear for him right now because he's probably burning the tires up, trying to stay as close as he is, given the aero wash in play.
You know how NASCAR could perhaps potentially make it so that the leader isn't at an inherent advantage? Just give the cars 750 horsepower again and make them hard to drive. And then we won't have to.
Also requires cooperation from Goodyear to not bring a rolling brick to the track every week. Which they are slightly doing this week at Loudon. This is the softest compound that they've run in a while, but still 10 times harder than we ran back in the classic days here.
Yeah. Make the car hard to drive, and then it doesn't really matter how much downforce you have because you can't use all the power or drive at top speed anyways. Looks like Andrew Dyson has gotten a little bit closer. I mean, not by much, but he's on the bumper of John. And again, the long run seemed to be where Dyson was pretty good. John's got a good long run car too. The question is, who's got the better long run car? And Dyson, way to the outside there, Corey. He was looking for something.
Now, again, that lane is competitive, but my fear right now is that because the track temp is so low, that any lane besides the shortest lane, which is right where they're running, it may actually be not as competitive. So I don't see as many guys running that third lane, that high diamond, late apex type move, not coming into play now. So that definitely hurts the aero push situation because you can't change your line as much and get some clean air on the nose.
A little bit further back, SOB is under fire from Nolan Hodgson. Nolan's going to take that outside lane, gets a pretty decent run, but where can he go with it? Well, nowhere, because SOB is going to slam the kitchen door at the Irish bar, and he is going to keep that position, at least for the time being. Got the 45 right behind him. He's not playing around either. He's been closing in steadily, and here comes Nolan again, going to look low this time. Good run down the straightaway. He's going to have to go for the lunge, and as we've seen, if you're going to go for it, you've got to clear him. You can't come out side by side. Does not take it and cannot get clear, so the battle continues. 24 outside, the 12 down low. And the 45 actually looking to maybe get to the outside of the 42. Or I'm sorry, the number 12.
Washed up there, not slightly washed up. He's slightly washed up. One's a fact, one's an insult there. So he's slightly washed up there, and then there goes SOB into the wall. That might be enough for Hodgson to clear. So I'll probably have chat now saying that I'm now anti-Nolan, which is not the case. He's not washed up.
And he is going to have to settle for that position just outside the top 10. Nolan is going to take that position by force with a clean move, and the 45 now trying to take yet another position. So Root looking to get back inside the top 10 if he can just get around these next two cars. Here comes Matt Long, a little bit further behind him. He's one of the drivers that was involved. Yeah, he was involved and actually got quite a heavy hit. I'd have to imagine, even though you don't see a lot of bodywork damage, I mean, with a hit like that, I feel like something mechanically's got to be bent, but who knows?
I'm curious as to what happened, and I didn't get to do a lot of recon on it, but we never really figured out what happened to Adam Benefiel. He is running competitive laps in the 9th spot, right akin to what the leader is running, so I don't think damage is at any play. He did crack back into the top 10, but he's 7 seconds off of the lead and recouping from that 1 minute pit stop that he did. So don't know what happened, but he's trying to make the most of it probably hoping for another caution or two to get himself back into it.
RJ Root really pressuring the 24, giving him no space on entry, saying, hey, if you slip up, I'm here. And he's got to. He's got the 97 behind him as well, trying to force the issue. So he can't really afford to take it easy.
Is that a hand or is that fire, Carlos? Was that a hand or was that fire that you just drew?
Yeah, it's close enough. I know what you were going for. But the 45 gets a nose on Sean O'Brien Jr. RJ Root's going to take the position, I think, out of the corner, and he's bringing long in tow.
Yeah, indeed. And while we are watching this, it is worth noting that the lead that Delaney has is starting to grow, which I think is akin to burning the tires up by Dyson by trying to stay there. Is a big wiggle there from RJ Root. That gives the outside to Neil Pearson, but Neil Pearson is 6 laps down, so that is of minimal significance here. But as I said, 3/4 of a second now, Delaney doing Delaney things. Dyson had to try so hard to stay in the tracks of Delaney that eventually the Goodyears are no longer feeling that good.
Yeah, you got to think they're getting up there in age for sure. Here comes Trevor Ryan a little bit further back. He's got Kenny Powell. Oh, Kenny's going to make a move here. Down underneath the 45, driving it in deep. Can he do anything with it? Not quite. Going to stay door to door. There's your leader. Just a quick glance at him to keep tabs with him. He's 0.8 of a second up on second place. There's Ralph Hutchison, who, for somebody who's been kind of out of the sim, I would say more than a lot of these drivers in the race, not having a bad night in that number 8.
So we have answered the question as to what happened to Adam Benefiel, and I'm slightly concerned about where this information came from. Sources state that Adam had to go use the facilities, and this is from Jedi Jason Taylor. And Jedi says he has sources. So was he a in-person source to find that information? I would hope not, but that is apparently what happened.
Well, I think after Jason wrecked out of the race, he was probably put on Gatorade bottle disposal, so he's got
paparazzi mode.
Nah.
So, sometimes this isn't the real world. I mean, we do simulate a lot of things, but you don't sweat out your fluids here. I mean, I'm sure some people do with direct drive, and maybe some people have some heat, some heat fans on them to simulate temperatures, but most of them don't have that. So sometimes you can't hold it for 3 hours. So, I mean, if he was winning the race, I'm sure he wouldn't have made that decision, but he's fighting and he's in 8th spot, closing in on 7th. He just needs 1 or 2 cautions, 1 or 2 good restarts, and he still could fight for it. But I am looking back at the gaps again, Andre. 7/10, back down to 3/10. So maybe Dyson was cooling the tires down. Maybe he found a new groove, or maybe Delaney's falling off an edge here.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. We're getting up there where the tires are probably evening out for most people. And he has closed the gap quite considerably. So we follow along with the 92 machine. Just temporarily, a lot of single file through the field here. But I tell you what, we have green flag stops on the horizon. Let's one more time take in the sights and sounds of Loudon with a Bring the Noise. And we are back from the Bring the Noise, and while we were listening to the engines and taking in the dated scan with the 60th anniversary billboards, Dyson did close the gap momentarily. He got within a tenth. Now he's falling back again to 3/10, so maybe just trying to... you can see the lap time fluctuation there as he's maybe letting those tires cool down. But as Corey pointed out, we're looking at the numbers, and it is actually feasible that somebody could make it to the end from our last stop. There may be drivers that don't make any green flag stops. In fact, it could be quite a few drivers depending on how much they save, which, going back to the way that the number 6 was driving earlier, we asked, is that all he's got? Why isn't he showing the pace? Could have been he was maybe saving Corey.
Yeah, I did the loose math here. So 48 laps is where they are right now, and we have 41 to go. So that puts... I can't do math. I think I said something about like 93 laps or something like that in our off-air time. So the difference is we haven't had cautions. We had cautions in the other stages that let them go 93, 94 laps. This is going to be straight pace. So someone's going to go for it. But who is and who isn't, that's why we've watched at the very end. And someone who has a calculator in chat, please tell me if my numbers are even remotely right.
Well, we got Jason over here saying he's the chief race engineer. He should know something about fuel mileage, but maybe he doesn't want to give away team secrets.
I think that was in Reboot to me saying that he was a paparazzi to Adam's source of pit stop there, but I don't know. All a good joke, but speaking of Benefield, he is in a he's in a good position right now to pick off a few spots. He is right to the back bumper, or in relative terms, of Clayton Hoffman. And then he has Hutchison right in front of him. And then DeCiani's in front of him. So 3 laps, 3 positions right in front. But I think we are going to go ahead and do a through the field here. That's the cue that I just got. So starting up front right now, we have John Delaney, who has been up front for 167 circuits around. He is leading this thing with Andrew Dyson, the pole sitter, in second spot. Third finds captain almost 700 days, Cam Stone, in the third position with the part-time phenom, if you want to call him that, Robert Miller in fourth. Highest he's been all day, I do believe. Matt DeCiani in fifth. Ralph Hutchison running in sixth. Clayton Hoffman, the Rookie of the Year candidate, in seventh. Adam Benefield in eighth. And then Bobby Anderson and Nolan Hodgson running at your top 10. I'm trying to say that at a pace at which Carlos can keep up with him.
Yeah. It's Bobby Anderson finally back inside the top 10 after his run-ins that he's had. But again, he's got to be in a pretty precarious situation because he's got a good car. He's inside the top 10. And there are cars close enough that he could run him down. He's only 3 tenths behind Benefield. He's only a few tenths behind Hoffman. But how aggressive do you get when you've been involved in a few accidents already tonight and you've seen other drivers get taken out by that incident limit? Do you take it easy and just kind of concede that, okay, I'm going to finish inside the top 10, it's a good points day? Or do you get greedy and say, I'm going to risk it all for a few more points?
Race car driver equals number 2. The crew chief is telling you number 1. The inner race car driver says number 2. And a good team combination manages to swirl that pot together and get the ideal result. But that would depend on his team infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely, I would have to say. And Anderson, he's a mixed bag. I've seen Anderson be really aggressive at times, but I've also seen him be pretty patient. So you never really know what you're going to get out of that number 5 either way. But we'll have to keep tuning in with him. Benefield gains another position over Hoffman just a lap or 2 ago, putting him up to 7th. Now he's on the heels of Hutchison, trying to take P6. He's got quite a bit of racing left to do if he wants to gain a few more positions, but I don't know, 9 seconds up the road at a track like Loudon, we're looking at 30-second lap times. That's a third of a lap he's got to try to make up in a relatively short period of time to get to the lane.
Yeah, definitely going to need a little bit of help here. We saw, Delaney get a huge time advantage on those fresh tires, but on even tires, you are not gaining that much time at all. So just maybe a second or 2 over the course of a run here. But The gap has been a rubber band between our race leader and second. It went from 0.2 of a second back up to 0.7, back down to 0.2. Now it's back to it's up to the biggest margin it's been in this run, upwards of a second. But again, multiple factors at play. Is there fuel mileage? Is there saving? Is it just pure Delaney doing Delaney things? I'm going to try one more time, Andre, to do math right now. I'm going to try one more time. Let me go queue up my calculator. And we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure it out. We're going to do it. You and I and Carlos are going to figure it out right now. So 50, there is, how many laps left?
Around 268 out of 301.
Minus
That would be
268.
33 laps.
33 plus 58. 91 laps is the run to the end of full green flag, I think, to my knowledge. I don't think this is a fuel race. I think everyone's fine on fuel.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's saving because we saw him go 93 laps pretty easily. Again, they had the help of cautions, but who's to say that they couldn't have gone further? And if everybody's saying, hey, they're good. I mean, I don't
we
think
just need one big check mark, Carlos. One big check mark. It should be good. One big check mark, like a Nike check mark. Everything is good. No, not an X, not an X, not an X. One big check mark. We're all fine.
Well, the one leg of the X is kind of
there. We go.
Kind of like a check mark. So
there we go. Oh, that's gonna get copyright. I'm gonna get sued now. Get rid of it. There we go.
Look, I don't know about you guys, but I trust Jason on fuel mileage. Look, I only get my fuel mileage information from a guy who ran out of fuel 8 laps early at Charlotte and made no effort to actually conserve. When you get your information from him, you know it's good.
So what does that mean for a drive? What does that mean for a driver who's turned himself into the booth? So his number less reliable?
I mean, probably.
But he is also, Jeffrey Souza is actually with Souza Media, an affiliate with D2, and he actually has media credentials for Loud in real life. So even if he doesn't know fuel mileage, he still has a much better situation that I am quite jealous of right now. But back to the situation at hand. Cam Stone there in third. You can see Miller closing in on him. So I think the streak may unfortunately continue if you're a 57 fan. Delaney just got by the drum hammer and put him back off of the lead lap here. So a race that free passes have not become plenty here, at least in the second stint of it, where we have had a lot of green flag racing, probably since the middle of the second stage, I would say. But here comes Miller closing in, trying to size up the situation. Where is Stone faster? Where is he slower? All the way down there on the flat. Don't usually see that on old tires. And oh god, here comes the I need my sunglasses for this now.
Yeah, you see the footwork going on, trying to defend against Robert Miller. He's doing a good job so far, but Miller's really been coming to life here on this longer run, gaining some speed. These guys are about 7 seconds off the leader. Dyson is 1.5 seconds back. I should point out Adam Benefiel is now 11 seconds back from our leader, so he's not actually gaining. He's now falling back from the leader. I want to mention that because it seems like the traffic is holding him up. But DeCiani's still in 5th. And here goes Robert. Is he going to go for the lunge? Yes, he does. They're going to be side by side into the corner. Look out the driver net, window net. There he is. They're going to be nose to nose out of the corner. Can they keep it clear? It seems like whenever Cam gets side by side, that's when the car wants to jump out on him.
Back to the line.
He's able to keep it straight, and Robert Miller is going to have to charge again.
Yeah, he's going to have to get close enough. A little bit of contact there, just nearly, if not, over through the exit of 2 there. That'll cost him a few car lengths there as he has to recoup himself there. But I think the name of the game, as we've seen with passing, you got to get at least to their rear wheels, and then you got to do the Delaney yeet into the corner. You just got to drive it to the bottom, pull off the slide job, and hope you can get it rotated and get off the corner with any level of speed.
Yeah, and that's the key. You want to be able to carry that speed all the way down the straightaway, so the exit is important. But Robert kind of made a bit of a slip up there, cost himself a couple of car lengths, and that gave Cameron a little bit of time to breathe. But all this battling is just allowing John to check out even further. Last time we mentioned the gap, it was 7 seconds. Now it's 8.5. So both these drivers just slipping down the scoring pylon as Dyson also falling back. I mean, John is just driving away right now. 2.2 seconds for Dyson. Last time we looked at him, it was 1.6. So I don't know what's going on with that sixth, but he is looking.
We're getting our confirmation in our YouTube right now that even with an aggressive gearing package, which would mean you're pretty much on the higher end of the rev spectrum the entire lap, 95 would be the absolute limit. So being a 91 lap run, fuel is of no concern. Everybody can go full send to the end, well, as much as the Goodyears will allow them to do so. We're basically at this juncture a full second of fall off from our best lap. So if you think of a Charlotte, a Texas, or other tracks where Darlington's, where you see 2-3 seconds of fall off, even 70 laps into a run, Andre, only a second here. So tires, although they are wearing, it is not what you see at other racetracks.
No, and on iRacing, it does vary a lot track to track, as it can in real life as well. But with iRacing, the variance can be pretty huge, and the fall off not quite as brutal. And Benefield alluded to it in one of his stage interviews. There, he said that tires aren't really all that big of a factor, and it kind of sounded like he was surprised by that, the way that he worded it. But either way, it worked out to his benefit. He was able to get 2 stage wins out of long run strategies, and maybe not going to win the race on strategy, at least as they run now, but either way, having a good day. And there goes Bobby Anderson. He's going to take a position from Hoffman. So going back to our debate, Corey, about, well, do you show patience? Do you ride? Well, you're right. It was option number 2. The race car driver brain took over.
Yeah, I mean, not to cue a Bon Jovi reference, but you're living on a prayer when you're on that, I can't screw up. Maybe I can get a 1X, which I guess with these guys getting loose on corner exits, 1Xs are possible. But you can't hit that. You can't hit the 2X, which a 2X could be a wall contact. You don't even necessarily have to hit another car for that. So if he is living on that, razor edge, you just have to choke up your corner exits, make sure you don't hit the wall, and then if somebody gets near you, you just can't battle them as aggressively as you'd like to. But it doesn't mean you have to roll over and play dead either.
No, and right now he's in a good position because everybody is so single file right now that you can make the move and you can feel pretty confident that contact is unlikely. If you get to the outside, if you get to the inside, as long as you feel the car is comfortable underneath you. Oh, speaking of the car being comfortable, I believe that was Kyle Ammon getting a little bit squirrely in front of Damaris, who is probably just hoping and praying that the drivers in front of him don't have any more issues, because it seems like wherever that mail car goes, wherever the USPS goes, there's issues in front of him. He's been in just about every replay tonight, and it's not been his fault in any one of them. So seeing Ammon get loose was probably triggering some flashbacks to earlier in the race. But he's right on the bumper, and it looks like he may have the pace to try to make something happen here with Ammon.
Yeah, this is a live battle for the 15th spot, so must.
Adam Benefield coming down pit road, so this is Oh, he is parking it. I don't understand that.
It wouldn't be a rage quit. I can't imagine that's a rage quit in that situation.
Well, no, and he was having such a good points day. He's out of the Discord too. Hopefully everything's okay.
I'm gonna do a little bit of recon right here. I mean, if it's anything sim related, there could be emergencies in the real world that cause an instant, retirement.
Yeah, usually Adam wouldn't jump right out of the Discord like that, and he didn't. Yeah, hopefully everything's all right.
He just pulled right off of turn 4, sped in the pits, and just stopped at an empty stall. So that seemed like at least a rather urgent matter of some sort for us. So hopefully it's nothing important, but either way, Benefield out of the race.
So that is a surprising development, because that was it's still a good points day, and I guess that's one of the very few positives to stages, is that he may not finish the race, but he did win 2 stages. He got himself playoff points, he got himself regular points. So even though he is not going to finish, he's not walking away empty-handed either. He's actually going to get more points than some of the people that do finish the race. So a good start, definitely carrying him through. In the meantime, the battle between Cam Stone and Robert Miller starting to deteriorate. Robert made a good run at it. He made a lunge, and it seems like after that he cooked his tires. He's not been able to keep up with that 57. And the 83 of Adam Benefield disconnecting did open up the door for Miller to gain another position. Or not Miller, I apologize. Bobby Anderson gained another position, as did DeCiani. So these two moving up the running order. Anderson trying to salvage a good point stay after all the strife he has faced. Trying to run that high line. You can see he's just right straddling that the two different types of blacktop there, the dark pavement, the lighter pavement. And it works. He actually gets a really good exit as DeCiani gets a little bit squirrely. That's going to put him up into the top 5. But Hodgson, look at this. Nolan Hodgson, this is 2 weeks in a row that he's been having pretty good performance.
He's going for back-to-back top 5s right here for Nolan Hodgson, on a little bit of a hot streak, and he's almost going to go 2 for 1. Got by DeCiani. Now he's going to have the outside entering turn number 3, the ideal line on Anderson. Anderson's going to try to drive it in and try to get up and take that line away, but the 12's going to roll that third lane, and he's going to get himself that track position here. Again, this is a top 5. Oh my, Anderson got a good run off 4, shuts the door on him.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be able to take it there. He's going to make another attempt at it down low. This time Anderson takes that high line.
Yeah, he went way too high. He was in the other asphalt that is no good. X-asphalt, as we deemed earlier.
Now, I'm trying to figure out, I just heard John Delaney come across the radio and apologize for something. I must not have been anything too egregious, as the caution didn't come out.
Well, Damaris is right behind him, so maybe some endeavor getting around him. That's all I can think of. I'll do a little bit of recon.
That could be the case, but Hodgson...
Oh, yeah, he had a little bit of an issue, but he got really loose getting around Damaris, but either way, everybody's fine. He's up by 3 seconds. He can take his time, and no rush here. He is right to the back bumper of Kyle Ammon right now, so he is in traffic, but again, with a 3-second lead and only 12 laps to go. I mean, he probably doesn't even need to get by the lap traffic, and he'll still be just fine.
No, he's got a pretty comfortable cushion that he's built up throughout the course of this race, and he doesn't need to be as fast as he could possibly go. I'm still just really surprised with Hodgson. I mean, when he was running good at Atlanta, that's one thing. That's kind of a plate track. I think anybody can run good up there, but this may be, I think, the best I've seen that 12-car run at what you would consider a driver track. I mean, this is a tough track to navigate. It's bit quite a few drivers, and here's Nolan inside the top 5 and trying, if he can, to hunt down the car's head. It's quite a big gap, but either way, a really great day for Nolan.
And speaking of drivers tracks, again, just to preface into next week, we head to Pocono for the one and only visit there, so make sure you stay tuned for that, both on D1 and D2 broadcast. But within 10 laps to go right now, and the best active battle on the track is still that battle in and about the 5th spot, but Hodge has got by, so I think he'll pull away. And we're just gonna run this thing out, Andre. It turned in from a cluster to a really smooth end to this race.
Well, it's given us a little bit of everything. We've had kind of rashes of cautions that were really frequent, and then we've had really long green flag runs that kind of opened the door to some strategy. So it's been a mixed bag, which I'm not really complaining about. I think this has been a pretty fun race, at least for a spectator. I know, every driver we've talked to, and that seems to be the case. Every time we have fun up in the booth, we talk to the drivers, and they're hating it.
It's typically what makes a race good from a spectator perspective is not good from the driver's seat, which, like last week at Atlanta, in the real world, did the drivers have fun racing 3 wide on a track that's as big as a Lego set? Probably not, but it made really good TV. And when the drivers have fun at Atlanta, old Atlanta, and actually, if you ask the drivers, they liked Bristol before the PJ won. Fans didn't like that, so there's always an opposite of what's fun to watch is usually not fun to drive.
That's usually the case, but here goes Ralph Hutchison trying to get around DeCiani. That would be for the 8th position. If he can secure the deal, he's got Kenny Powell not far behind, but he can't quite make it happen. Doesn't get the run out of the corner. DeCiani able to get clear once again, so he's going to try it again through 3 and 4. He's just not quite carrying that momentum. He might be entering a little bit too low. Who knows? But either way, he's now actually going to have a car try to force his way to the high line if he's not careful into 1 and 2. Try it all over again.
I do want to point out something that I did see off camera right there. Damaris made a big move underneath Kyle Ammon in one of the corners, made some contact with him, and then he immediately backed off and gave Ammon the spot because he did not want to pass via that methodology there. So a good sign of respect, and or he's just scared of what Kyle Ammon would do.
Maybe a little bit of column A, column B. Ammon he's a very clean driver, as long as you're a clean driver. But if you make him mad, if you do something, if you push him around, he will not hesitate to retaliate.
Yeah.
And
Again, he is the Jimmy Spencer of the series.
Yeah, like he's not out for blood unless you give him a reason to be, and then you get the death stare on that driver cam, and once that happens, it's over.
So he's nice. He'll give you a piece of cake. He likes you, but then he's also a wild, ravage hyena. Just depends on the situation.
Which relatable. I'm usually the same way in a race. I tend to try to keep it as clean as possible.
You'll give me cake, but you'll also be a ravaging hyena.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to a guy who literally got an award for yelling at somebody the loudest during a race. I can relate to Ammon.
So we do have, we're talking about Nolan Hodgson trying to hang on for back-to-back top fives. Well, Anderson has found a breath of wind here at the very end of it. He's trying to take that away. As you can see, nothing going on up front, lead of 4 seconds here with just 3 miles left to go here, but still a great battle going on for that 5th spot.
Yeah, they are really duking it out for that extra point. Anderson, I really thought Hodgson was going to pull away. I mean, the way he made that move on Anderson, it looked pretty effortless. He got the position. He seemed like he was going to drive away, but then that 5 car kicked it into overdrive. He's right on the tow hitch. And, timing and scoring shows the 5 ahead. They might be side by side right now.
He just did a yeet. He got by. So Hodgson's top 5 streak may be in jeopardy. They're doing a crossover move.
It's a crossover. They're going to be nose to nose. This is a good battle. Nolan with a great run down the straightaway. He's going to get clear before the corner. But with the Delaney yeet goes the number 5, keeping the top 5 position alive at least for 1 corner longer. Down into the straightaway now. The 12 has an advantage. He came across radio. Nolan said, "This is scary." He's saying that as he's racing.
Now they got to keep it clean for 1 more corner because Delaney's coming off of turn number 4. And he has just now taken the white flag. So if they wreck, it does not matter. Delaney here as we go into multi-cam here, watching that battle. No, back to single cam. 206 laps led for the 2022 series champion in that number 6 car. It's going to be 207 in dominating effort. We thought Dyson was going to have a shot at it. He stayed with him, but towards the end of the stint, 6 just put the NOS on. He put the turbojets into full gear, and he's going to come off turn number 4. He's going to have Loudon the Lobster in hand. John Delaney wins at Loudon.
And that has got to be a huge relief for John. We were all kind of wondering, when are we going to see John back in form? And for position here, they're still battling out of the final corner. Who's going to get the top 5?
They touch.
Good run.
And Craven got him. Well, actually, it's Bobby Anderson.
But now Anderson is going to take the top 5 by, 7,000 or hundredths of a second. That is impressive. But as I was saying, we were wondering, when's that number 6 going to be back in form? When is he going to be winning again? When's he getting back to victory lane? Well, this was the John Delaney that I think we're familiar with. He didn't just win, he won. I mean, he went out there, he dominated.
Like I said, hopefully he likes lobster because he'll have that at hand here, doing the victory burnouts here on what is supposed to be a granite strip, but in iRacing is just a white line. But he'll do his celebratory burnouts here at New Hampshire. I don't remember when his last win was, Andre. I don't know if you remember, but it's definitely been more than a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while because he hasn't been in the cars too often over the last couple of months. He's taken a couple of breaks, had some fill-ins and stuff. So it's been a little while. And remember, Lucas Hoytsma leads the wins on the season with 3, or he did lead the wins with 3. I believe this should tie John Delaney up to 3. We do have the final results for the CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301. Delaney takes the win, 206 laps to the good. Andrew Dyson is going to take P2 from the pole. Didn't lead a lap from the pole. Cameron Stone is going to be P3, and you know, a good points day is probably not enough consolation for a guy who's trying so hard to win after 700 days. Robert Miller, P4. Robert Anderson, fighting for his life back there, is able to just snag a top 5 away from Nolan Hodgson, who has what I would consider a career day in that number 12. Great drive by Nolan. Clayton Hoffman is going to be in 7th. Ralph Hutchison comes back to the lead. Finishes where his door number is, 8 for that 8 car. Matt Long, he had some trouble, but he brought it back into the top 10 at night. Rounding out the top 10, Matt DiCiani in the 4 car.
All right, and that 11th through 20th, most every driver in this list has been involved in something or another, but carried on for a successful result. Sean O'Brien in 21st, RJ Root 22nd, Trevor Bryan in 11th, 12th, 13th numbers, Trevor Ryan in 13th, Kyle Lamon in 14th, Tamara Sickabottom with the 15th, Wayne Grassi, he finishes in 16th, Kenny Powell 17th with the drum hammer in 18th, Marty in Hall 19th and 20th. Don't mind my numbers, it's late.
And outside of the top 20, just rounding out the rest of the field, Neil Pearson, Jamie Knopf, Adam Benefiel with a late exit. Still not entirely certain what was going on in the pits there. Dalton Mobley is going to be 24th, Mark Paget 25th, Jeremy Miller 26th, 27, 28, Lucas Hoitzma and Derek Heitman. And rounding out the field, Jason, nobody calls him Jedi, Taylor in 29th. We do have our interviews lined up. We'll start with second place. I will hand him off to you, Corey Andrew Dyson.
All right, Andrew, we talked to you a little bit earlier, and we've been talking to you quite frequently lately as you've had some really solid runs. The first half of that last stint, you stayed right on the bumper of Delaney. Thought you had a shot at it. I don't know if it was dirty air or just the tires went, but then Delaney turned on the turbojets there. What did he have that you didn't have towards the end of that last stint?
Well, he just had the tire life, and he was better overall anyway. I think everything you just said, I could probably check all those boxes and say all the above happened, because that's pretty much how it went. I think I used the tire up a bit when I took fresh tires, and then, yeah, the dirty air probably didn't help, but it didn't really matter. I mean, he was obviously better in the long run, even when we had the same tire. So, good racer. Pretty happy with that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then you've been on such a hot streak lately, of course, with the road courses being your forte, but then you come here, which kind of has some essences of it with how you have to drive it. And then next week we go to Pocono, which kind of combines all of the above, some high speeds. You are doing a lot of shifting in 3 completely separate corners here. So what's your confidence level heading into the Triangle next week? A very difficult track there as well.
Yeah, it's heaps different from most other stuff in that it's really drafty. I mean, it is definitely like a bit of a mix between some road stuff and speedway stuff, but yeah, it's so drafty. Like, you really just need to make sure you're up the front and try and stay there. As soon as all the cars are in one lane at that circuit, it's really hard to pull out and pass unless you've got some help in the form of a draft from in front. So yeah, I mean, every track you go to is hard to pass, but that's got its own little nuances about it as well, the Pocono. So not really confident. As long as I can go out there and have a good time and just keep it clean, give myself an opportunity to do well, I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, you're getting some good stage points. You've gotten yourself some playoff points, so things are going to be looking good for you and even your teammate who had a little bit of problems tonight. But congrats on a solid run, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Yeah, all the guys did really well tonight. Like Matt and Bobby probably didn't have the race that it deserved, and neither did Neil. But anyway, yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and look forward to next race. And thanks for the broadcast too.
Anytime, man. And we have been given media rights permissions to speak to Cam Stone, our third place finisher. And Andre, do you want him or do you want me to get him?
Yeah, we'll bring him up. Give me one in a moment. Cam, is that a shiny new media badge I see?
It is. It was just reinstated.
Did Damaris drive by you after the race and just kind of chuck it in the window there? Or, I mean...
Yeah, he came down on pit road and told me if I ever messed up again that no one will ever see my face or hear my voice. Gonna end up like Jimmy Hoffa, so let's keep it clean.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it clean. Hopefully you've not been too deep into the Sterlings, but Cam, you had a really good run tonight. That 57 machine was a rocket ship in the early stages of the race, and even into stage 3, you were matching the lap times of the cars ahead of you. What was it going to take, though, to get that little bit extra?
Well, throughout the race, me and John were on the same set, so we were relaying tire information back and forth, and throughout the whole run, or the whole race, his right front tire was better than mine. So I'm not sure if it was the way I was apexing the corner or the way I was entering the corner. John was just able to keep that center rotation a little bit longer in the run than I was. So, the first 25, 30 laps, I would sit right on his bumper, and then he'd just get smaller and smaller in the windshield until I couldn't see him anymore. So that last run, I don't know how far we went, probably almost 100 laps, and I think I ended up losing 13 seconds to him on the same tire. So once again, John Delaney shows the world why he's better than me.
Well, it wasn't much better. You definitely put up a fight. You led some laps and you showed some strength. Does that boost the confidence at all? With the losing streak that you're trying to snap, does that kind of put the wind in your sails and say, I passed John. I led some laps. This can happen.
Yeah, it definitely feels good. I mean, last week I had a tough race going, and then right at the end, I got my laps back and almost had a shot at winning the thing. So to come out here, this is the first time I've started in the top 5 in what feels like 6 months. So to keep it up there pretty much all day and lead some laps, get some good stage points, finish in the top 3. Hopefully this momentum keeps going. Got some good tracks coming up. I love going to Pocono, so looking forward to that, and hopefully we can nix the 0 in the win column.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into the next question I was going to ask you about Pocono. Damaris said in the Discord earlier, Cam's good at the braking type tracks. And, at least 2 out of those 3 corners at Pocono are braking type corners, so it seems like somewhere you'd be good. How's the confidence going into that track, and what's the plan?
Yeah, Pocono is one of my favorites. It's where I got, I believe, my second win in the league way back in 2020. It just seems like tracks that other people don't like, or tracks that are weird for some reason, are the ones that I do pretty well at. So Pocono having 3 corners as opposed to 4, and all 3 of those corners being different. Basically, you just got to pick, what corners you want to be good in and kind of sacrifice the other ones. So usually, Adam runs great there. John runs great there. Jason Taylor's lone win was at that track too. So there's a bunch of guys that just do well there for some reason, and I happen to be one of them. So we'll see if it turns into a draft train or if it kind of spreads out like tonight did.
Yeah, definitely could go either way. Pocono is one of those tracks. But anyways, Cam, congratulations on a podium, and congratulations on the new media badge. Try not to lose this one.
Thanks, man. Hopefully I'm back up here talking to you next week.
You want to quote some NWA or some ICP before you leave?
No, I'm good on that.
All right. And by the way, proud of you. We went to the driver cam multiple times, and no illicit substances. So we're getting better.
Yeah, I was focused on this one. I needed a good finish, so we went sober cam tonight. Obviously, motor coach is going to be a long one since I haven't had anything to drink the whole time. So looking forward to that.
All right. Well, Cam, thanks for your time. Hopefully, we're talking to you next week.
Thanks, fellas.
That is going to be 3rd place out of the booth with his shiny new badge. Now, Corey Silva made the quick jog down to victory lane. He caught up with John Delaney.
All right, John, we talked to you earlier, and you said you probably had about confidence of a top 3 run for sure. And I'll tell you, Andrew, we thought he was going to put up a fight, but you turned on the jets there in some form or another halfway through that second stage, and you just drove off, and you kind of raced the way you did last season, dominating these races. How good was that car that last run, and were you worried about Dyson earlier in the run?
Car was great. I was a little worried because I did not take tires the last caution there. I just took fuel only. Dyson did take tires, so I was a little nervous. I knew I'd probably be able to hang with him the first 20, but I didn't really expect to hang on past 20 laps. I figured he would have the little upper hand with the fresher tires. Granted, we weren't on those set of tires for that long, but still, it was about 2% tire wear when I came in. So, yeah, I was a little nervous at first, and I knew, this is such a mental track. It's all discipline. You could have the fastest set in the field and still finish midfield, but if you don't have the mental discipline and you're not going to do good here at all. It's a mentally draining track for sure. It's a hard track. It's not an easy track, and you know it takes skill to do it. So, you know, after lots of experience, you know, of running this track and doing laps, you know, I finally got it down, and we were just set sailing pretty much. It felt pretty good to be that dominant again. It's been a bit, that's for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, talking about that, we used to always say Delaney doing Delaney things. Well, hasn't happened lately, but turning the corner here today. One thing I wanted to ask you earlier in the race, obviously towards the end, the clouds and the shade kind of took over, but first stage of the race, we really noticed a lot of comers and goers, and the sun was in and out. You'd have 30 laps of sun, 30 laps of clouds switching back and forth. Was that anything that you noticed in the car and felt at all? Or was it kind of just indifferent with how the car reacted to those changes?
I didn't notice it too much, but yeah, like you said, it was kind of cloudy, then sunny, and then like at the start of stage 2 was probably peak track temp around 91 degrees, and then it started cooling off there at the end. But I could definitely tell at the very end that there was a lot more grip in the track than it was before at the start of the race, which is, you know, that's nothing unusual. You know, you have more rubber being laid down, and you know, usually as the race goes on, the track does get cooler. So I definitely did notice, you know, towards the end there was more grip, and you know, fall off wasn't as much either. So I definitely was looking into that for strategy if, you know, there was a caution that did come out. So
yeah, we saw a lot less guys getting loose on corner exit. But next week we head to the Tricky Triangle, a track that another driver's track, although drafting does tend to come more into play. Definitely going to have some shifting, and always hard to nail all 3 corners at Pocono. What's the confidence level going into there and trying to go back to back?
I will not be racing Pocono. So that is.
Well, that's off the table, so we're not
clamping again.
Yep.
All right.
So unfortunate, but we'll be back. I don't know. Is there Richmond after Pocono, or I don't know.
Late July. Is anybody's guess? Indy, what is it? Indy Road Course is somewhere in the mix.
Oh,
but
is it Indy? Well, I don't know.
Late on, yeah. This shows how well all of us know the schedule. We just know, you know, we show up when we show up. But either way, John, another great run, led over 200 plus laps. Congrats, and whenever you're back, we'll see if you can go back to back in Delaney terms.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, just shout out all the guys at Apex Racing, Jason, John, Cam. We've been having a couple rough weeks, so we were able to turn around this week. Coney Setup Shops, Stint Analyzer, Sousa Media, Rise Esports, you guys for broadcasting, the admins, the league, and Dustin Hall for making this insane EPI setup. It was Hall.
All right, we'll talk to you later, John. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
That is going to be John out of the booth, and that should do it for the post-race coverage here at Loudon, New Hampshire for the CC O'Brien's Irish Bar 301. It was a very fun race, in my opinion. We had a little bit of everything, a little bit of strategy. We had a few cautions. We had some long green flag runs. Whatever you like in NASCAR, this race probably offered a little bit of it. And we'll see the 6th back in victory lane before he goes glamping again next week for Pocono. Corey, you got any closing thoughts here?
Well, I think you summed it up. Again, the race kind of started off very rough, but cleaned itself up. Good strategy. Like you said, a little bit of everything. Make sure you stay tuned for next week's race at Pocono. D1 will be on D2 on PTR TV. D1 right here on the 100% Cup Series channel. And that's Corey and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.